Chapter 388. Jade Cloud Star. Inside Mangon's residence within the Imperial City. Qinyu had been waiting for Mangon in the guest room. Mangon had gone to the message transmission secret array to communicate with the Ox Demon Emperor. At that moment, only Qinyu, Shixian, and his two brothers were present in the guest room. Qinyu cast his gaze toward Shirzhan. Qinyu's heart moved. This Shirzhan was Xiaohei's spiritual beast. He should be able to sense the location of Xiaohei. Shirzhan, you should be able to sense the location of my third brother, right? Do you know where he is? Qinyu immediately asked. Shirzhan nodded and said, Lord Qinyu, I can sense the location of Master. He should be in the northeast direction, extremely far away from here. Northeast? Qinyu frowned. The term northeast was too vague. According to the map, the territory of the Dragon Clan, the territory of the Bird Clan, and even the Dark Star Realm could all be considered as northeast. Lord Ho Fei had once brought me to look for Master. At that time, I discovered that Master was in the territory of the Bird Clan. As for where he is, I am not certain. Shirzhan said helplessly. Fei had gone to look for him? What was the result? Qinyu continued to ask. Shirzhan shook his big head and said, At that time, Master wanted to go to the territory of the Bird Clan to search for him. However, we were intercepted by His Majesty the Great Ape Emperor on the way there. Lord Ho Fei was also forcibly brought back by His Majesty the Great Ape Emperor. Forcibly brought back. Qinyu looked at Shirzhan, waiting for Shirzhan's answer. The Bird Clan had some conflicts with us. Mangon walked in from outside. Brother Qinyu, Ho Fei is a fiery-eyed water ape. As a super divine beast, how could he easily take risks? With his strength as a demon king, it is impossible for Great Ape Emperor to allow him to wander about in the territory of the Bird Clan. Qinyu understood. Even if he was a super divine beast, he was only at the demon king level. His attack power was definitely very low. In the territory of the Bird Clan, he might be killed at any time. Big Brother Manqian, did you have a result from your message with the Ox Demon Emperor just now? Qinyu asked closely. Manqian smiled and said, Wait for 3 days. After His Majesty contacted me, he immediately set off to return. As for where Ho Fei is, according to His Majesty, you can't go there without His Majesty's help. Qinyu was shocked. Where exactly was Ho Fei? That place seemed to be quite mysterious. Don't worry, it's just 3 days. When that time comes, His Majesty will personally help, and you will definitely be able to reunite with your brother Ho Fei. Manqian patted Qinyu's shoulder and said to comfort him. Qinyu nodded. That's the only way. Lord Qinyu, there's something I don't know if I should say. It's about Master. Shirzhan looked at Qinyu. Xiaohei. Qinyu's eyes lit up. Speak. Qinyu looked at Shirzhan. Shirzhan's expression was solemn. I am Master's spiritual beast. I can sense Master's approximate location at any time. However, before Lord Ho Fei went to find Master, I discovered Master's location was moving in a large area. A large area? Qinyu's expression changed. Shirzhan was so far away from the Bird Clan's territory, yet he was able to sense Xiaohei's large area movement. What was Xiaohei doing in the Bird Clan's territory? That's right, it's a large area. At the very least, he was moving in the direction of 7 to 8 star fields. Shirzhan nodded and said, Pursuit. Qinyu immediately thought of this word. He couldn't help but become nervous. Xiaohei grew up with him, and they were as close as brothers. If Xiaohei was really in that kind of situation, then that's not right. According to Big Brother Wuming, he had never heard of any powerful high-level or super divine beast that had ascended. Xiaohei has inherited memories. However, the Eagle Clan doesn't have a divine beast like Xiaohei. Xiaohei should be a divine beast that has never been seen before in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Qinyu was rapidly pondering in his mind. Xiaohei has just arrived in the demon realm. His strength is still weak. Even if he had enemies, they wouldn't be very strong. For him to move in such a large area, there must be some other reason. Qinyu denied the possibility of being pursued. Times Qinyu had no idea what the current situation of Kuro was. As for Ho Fei, he was in a mysterious place. In order to reach that place, Qin Yu had to wait for another 3 days. He had to wait for His Majesty Ox Demon Emperor to return. At this time, Qin Yu still didn't know that Emperor Yu of the Immortal Realm had already broken through to level 9 Immortal Emperor. Qin Yu chatted with Man Qian for half a day. After that, Man Qian arranged for him to stay in his residence. Qin Yu directly entered the Jianglan's realm. Inside the Jianglan's realm, there were all kinds of buildings in the Jianglan's realm. The residence that Qin Yu chose was very close to Wu Lan's residence. Right after Qin Yu arrived at his residence, Wu Lan walked over. "Qin Yu, you've come," Wu Lan said with a smile. Qin Yu smiled helplessly and said, "There's nothing I can do about it. Right now, I have to wait for the Ox Demon Emperor to return. I'm more used to training in the Jianglan's realm." "Ah, that's right." Qin Yu suddenly remembered an item, the Bewitching God painting. At that time, Immortal Emperor An Yang had warned him that he must reach the Emperor level in order to open the Bewitching God painting. Immortal Emperor An Yang spoke, as if this Bewitching God painting was something extraordinary. Emperor Yu and the others also valued it greatly. It was even said to be the #1 treasure in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm. "I'd like to see what kind of treasure it is." Qin Yu flipped his hand and took out the Bewitching God painting. Seeing the Bewitching God painting in Qin Yu's hand, Wu Lan's eyes shined. "Bewitching God painting? Mr. Wu Lan, you also know about this Bewitching God painting?" Qin Yu looked to Wu Lan. Wu Lan said with a beaming smile, "Wouldn't you know once you open it?" Qin Yu nodded. He then began to instigate the black hole energy within his body and began to pour it into the Bewitching God painting in his hand. Under the attack of the black hole energy, the barrier that Immortal Emperor An Yang had set up was finally broken. At the moment when the barrier was broken, Qin Yu's eyes shined. The Bewitching God painting flashed with an enchanting light. Rays of light that resembled a star chart flew out from the Bewitching God painting and then disappeared. Qin Yu immediately dripped his blood on the Bewitching God painting. Soon after, Qin Yu's immortal awareness immediately penetrated into the Bewitching God painting. Rays of strange symbols and rays of strange light were unceasingly flowing within the Bewitching God painting at an extremely fast speed. "What is this?" Qin Yu was confused. Qin Yu looked to Wu Lan and asked in confusion, "Mr. Wu Lan, this Bewitching God painting is known as the #1 treasure in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm. However, how come I didn't discover how precious it is?" Wu Lan shook his head and smiled. "You didn't discover how strange the Bewitching God painting is compared to ordinary divine artifacts? It is indeed strange. I've already dripped my blood on it, yet I didn't discover how precious it is at all." Qin Yu shook his head and said with a light smile. Wu Lan sighed and said unhappily, "Forget it, I'll just tell you directly. There is a reason why this Bewitching God painting is known as the #1 treasure in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm. Before that, let me ask you something. Where did the divine artifacts in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm come from?" Qin Yu was startled. "That's right. Divine artifacts can only be refined by people from the divine realm. How could there be divine artifacts in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm? Could it be that there were people from the divine realm who came to the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm to specially gift divine artifacts to the people of the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm?" Seeing Qin Yu's expression, Wu Lan smiled and said, "Let me tell you, several tens of millions of years ago, there were no divine artifacts in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm." "Oh!" Qin Yu's eyes shined. "Mr. Wu Lan, you mean that everything began to change several tens of millions of years ago?" Wu Lan nodded and said, "That's right. Several tens of millions of years ago, an extremely mysterious divine palace descended from the divine realm to the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm. This divine palace contained many divine artifacts. The divine artifacts of the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm came from there." Divine realm, divine palace. Qin Yu listened attentively. "That's right. This divine palace is called the Bewitching God Temple." Bewitching God Temple. Qin Yu was shocked. He had heard of the name Bewitching God Temple many times before. So this Bewitching God Temple was actually such an extraordinary place. It was the origin of all the divine artifacts in the Immortal, Devil, and Demon realm. Wulan sighed and said, "The Bewitching God Temple was originally the divine palace of an extremely exceptional person in the divine realm. Later on, for some unknown reason, the master of the Bewitching God Temple brought the Bewitching God Temple to the immortal devil and demon realm. Qin Yu, you ought to know." Wu Lan's face was filled with disappointment and frustration. "I came here precisely because of the Bewitching God Temple." Qin Yu nodded. Wu Lan had once told him that he was a monstrous beast from the divine realm. As for why he came to the immortal devil and demon realm, it was because of the Bewitching God Temple. Qin Yu naturally knew that, when the Bewitching God Temple descended to the immortal, devil and demon realm, Wu Lan was likely in the Bewitching God Temple. Thus, Wu Lan was brought to the immortal devil and demon realm by the Bewitching God Temple. When the Bewitching God Temple descended to the immortal devil and demon realm, I was unable to leave the Bewitching God Temple at all. I was trapped in a certain place within the Bewitching God Temple. Just like that, one day, a person entered the Bewitching God Temple and received my attack. A light smile appeared on Wu Lan's face. After that person was attacked by me, he immediately ran out of the restriction. I was unable to leave the restricted area of the restriction. Later on, that person threatened me to enter the 10,000 Beasts Atlas and bring me out of the Bewitching God Temple. It was a mortal emperor in Aiyang. At this moment, Qin Yu managed to guess. Wu Lan nodded. Although I came from the divine realm, there were countless divine restrictions in the Bewitching God Temple. However, that immortal emperor in Aiyang was able to pass through them. Why? Qin Yu asked. Because of the Bewitching God painting. Wu Lan sighed and said, "The master of the Bewitching God Temple was an extraordinary person in the divine realm. The restrictions in his divine palace were something that even people from the divine realm would not be able to break through. Thus, one could only pass through according to the path that he had set. That path could only be discovered through the Bewitching God painting," said Wu Lan solemnly. "That's not right," Qin Yu said in confusion. "There are no paths in the Bewitching God painting. There are only strange symbols and peculiar lights. How could there be any paths?" Wu Lan smiled and said, "The paths in the Bewitching God Temple are constantly changing. If one does not have the Bewitching God painting, one could only venture into the outer regions. If one were to enter the inner regions, one would definitely die." Qin Yu was startled. The paths in the Bewitching God Temple were actually constantly changing. It would appear that having a map of the path was useless. As long as one enters the Bewitching God Temple with the Bewitching God painting, the Bewitching God painting would naturally show the path. Similarly, some of the paths shown in the Bewitching God painting are also constantly changing. Wu Lan smiled and looked to Qin Yu. "Qin Yu, now you understand how precious the Bewitching God painting is. A map, could it be considered as the #1 treasure in the immortal devil and demon realm?" Qin Yu thought in his heart. Seeing Qin Yu's expression, Wu Lan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Qin Yu, do you know how many emperor-level experts have charged into the Bewitching God Temple and lost their lives in order to obtain divine artifacts? Even the divine artifacts of Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were obtained through luck in the outer regions of the Bewitching God Temple. There are such good divine artifacts in the outer regions." Qin Yu had seen the divine artifacts of Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. When combined, they were high-quality divine artifacts. Wu Lan shook his head and said, "The divine artifacts in the outer regions are all relatively low level. Occasionally, there would be some good ones, but they are also rare. As for the inner regions, that is where the true treasures gather." Back then, when Immortal Emperor in Aiyang went to explore the Bewitching God Temple for the first time, he was extremely lucky and obtained the Bewitching God painting. Relying on the Bewitching God painting, he was able to safely travel through the outer regions. He obtained the Divine Sword Sky Piercer, the Divine Armor Black Frozen Snow, a total of 12 divine artifacts. Said Wu Lan indifferently. Qin Yu was shocked. 12 divine artifacts? There were that many. Qin Yu back then, Immortal Emperor in Aiyang's power was still weak. Even though the Bewitching God painting showed him the safest path, he could only travel through the outer regions. At that time, he had indeed obtained 12 divine artifacts. Among them, he had given a few to his friends, and left a few in Inai Yang's realm. At that time, you Mangon and Zhongju had all obtained your own divine artifacts, right? Furthermore, even now, there are still divine artifacts in Inai Yang's realm. Furthermore, they are in the 9 heavens of Inai Yang's realm. Qin Yu was greatly shocked. Of the 9 heavens of Inai Yang's realm, the divine artifacts in the 7th, 8th and 9th heavens were all obtained by Qin Yu, Mangon and Zhongju. There were actually still divine artifacts in the 9 heavens. That was the first time Inai Yang went to the Bewitching God Temple. Later on, he relied on those divine artifacts to make a name for himself, and his power had also increased. However, the other experts were all suspicious as to why Inai Yang had obtained so many divine artifacts. Wu Lan started to laugh. Qin Yu, you should know that Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor, and the others had spent countless amounts of effort, and had gone there countless times, before they were able to obtain a few divine artifacts. Inai Yang had obtained 12 divine artifacts in merely one trip. Furthermore, Inai Yang's power was still very weak at that time. No one didn't suspect him. Qin Yu nodded. If he was Emperor Yu and the others, he would also suspect him. The secret of the Bewitching God painting was still leaked in the end. You can only blame immortal Emperor Inai Yang for trusting his trusted aide too much. Later on, immortal Emperor Inai Yang went to the Bewitching God Temple for the second time. This time, he had the power of a level 8 immortal emperor. Furthermore, he had the path shown by the Bewitching God painting. He was prepared to charge into the inner region of the Bewitching God Temple. Wu Lan lightly smiled and said, but this time he died. After shaking off Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor and the others, he stepped on a poisonous bug from the divine realm, when he had just stepped into the inner region. Qin Yu, you should know how precious the Bewitching God painting is, right? With it, in the Bewitching God Temple, you can pick up divine artifacts like picking up trash. So much so that when your power is high, you can even use the Bewitching God painting to enter the inner region of the Bewitching God Temple. And if you don't have the Bewitching God painting, even people from the divine realm can forget about entering the inner region of the Bewitching God Temple. That is the private area of the master of the Bewitching God Temple. After hearing so much from Wu Lan, Qin Yu finally understood the importance of the Bewitching God painting. With it, one could easily obtain divine artifacts in the outer region of the Bewitching God Temple. The title of the number 1 treasure in the immortal devil and demon realm was without a doubt. Chapter 389. Seems like I have to go to the Bewitching God Temple to take a look when I have time. This thought naturally appeared in Qin Yu's mind. Possessing the Bewitching God painting, but not going to the Bewitching God Temple, that would be a complete waste of natural resources. Wu Lan seemed to have guessed what Qin Yu was thinking. He lightly smiled and said, Qin Yu, unless it's absolutely necessary, you shouldn't go to the Bewitching God Temple. Why is that? Don't I have the Atlas of 10,000 beasts now? With my own strength and the few of you, there shouldn't be anything in the immortal devil and demon realm that can stop me. Qin Yu was puzzled. Wu Lan shook his head. You still don't understand. What is this Bewitching God Temple? It was the origin of all the divine artifacts in the entire immortal devil and demon realm. You should know how important it is. Qin Yu nodded. The Bewitching God Temple was the source of all the divine artifacts in the entire immortal, devil and demon realm. Naturally, it was extremely important. But what did this have to do with him going to obtain the divine artifact? There are a large number of experts monitoring the surroundings of the Bewitching God Temple. When other immortal emperors barged in to search for divine artifacts, not many people cared. However, once you Qin Yu appear there, the entire immortal, devil and demon realm will be shaken. Ah, I understand. Qin Yu suddenly realized. All the big shots of the immortal, devil and demon realm have their subordinates monitoring them. I possess the Bewitching God painting. Once I enter the Bewitching God Temple, I'll be able to obtain a large amount of divine artifacts. To obtain that many divine artifacts all at once, I reckon that none of the powers of the immortal devil and demon realm would allow such a thing to happen. Yes. Wulan nodded and said with a smile. You finally understand. The other immortal emperors and devil emperors had to go through untold hardships, and even the dangers of death, in order to obtain a divine artifact. If you go in, you can easily get more than 10 pieces. How terrible would that be? At that time, all the big shots would join hands to intercept you outside the bewitching god temple, and force you to share the divine artifact with them. Qin Yu smiled bitterly. If a large group of people joined forces to stop me at the same time, I really wouldn't be able to do anything. Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor, Black Devil Emperor, Blood Devil Emperor, Cyan Emperor, Hidden Emperor. He could only admit defeat and obediently hand over the divine artifact. Wulan smiled. That's why I said, wait until your power is high enough. Or perhaps you can join forces with a portion of the people and enter together. That way, you'll be able to safely obtain the divine artifact. Yes, that's the only way. Qin Yu smiled nonchalantly. Anyway, I don't need any divine tools right now. My own skills are the most practical. In that case, you should properly train. I won't disturb you anymore. With a movement of his feet, Wulan arrived at his residence. As for Qin Yu, he sat down beside the lake and began to train the 3 souls' 9 refinements. The Ox Demon Emperor would only be able to return in about 3 days. However, in the Jianglan's realm, that was equivalent to 30 days. This period of time was enough for Qin Yu to improve. Times in the immortal devil and demon realm, where experts were as numerous as the clouds, Qin Yu could only try his best to increase his power. Only in this way would he be able to live a better life with his brothers. The lake water was like a gem embedded in the middle of the green field. Qin Yu had been sitting on the green land by the lakeside for 30 days. On the 30th day, Qin Yu opened his eyes. The Ox Demon Emperor still hasn't returned? Qin Yu was puzzled. In these past few days, he did not discover Man Gone sending anyone to pass on any messages. However, Qin Yu also understood that the 3 days that Man Gone said was only an empty number. Let's go out and take a look. Qin Yu disappeared from the Jianglan's realm and appeared at the residence that Man Gone had arranged for him. Standing in the courtyard, Qin Yu spread out his immortal awareness. He easily discovered Man Gone, who was currently fighting against his subordinates. At this moment, Man Gone's upper body was bare and his sweat was already seeping out. Big brother Man Gone. Qin Yu sent a voice transmission. Hearing Qin Yu's voice transmission, Man Gone immediately stopped fighting and said to his opponent, "You can go and rest. Today's training ends here." Soon after, Man Gone used a towel to wipe his sweat, wore a yellow gown and walked towards Qin Yu. "Brother Qin Yu, last time you said that you wanted to train. I did not dare to disturb you." Man Gone happily walked into the courtyard. Qin Yu smiled and then said, "Big brother Man Gone, let's not talk about this anymore. I want to know, has His Majesty the Ox Demon Emperor returned?" "His Majesty." Man Gone nodded and said, "His Majesty had just returned this morning. I originally planned to call for you in the evening. Never did I expect that you had actually finished training. He's back." Qin Yu suddenly stood up. His face was filled with pleasant surprise. "Big brother Man Gone, let's go. Bring me to see His Majesty." The current Qin Yu was simply unable to wait any longer. "Brother Qin Yu, don't be anxious. His Majesty had just returned and still has matters to attend to. Moreover, if you want to see him, it's better to wait until the evening. Because this evening, His Majesty has personally set up a banquet to invite you," Man Gone said while beaming. Qin Yu was shocked. "Personally set up a banquet to invite me? What kind of status did the Ox Demon Emperor have? To personally set up a banquet to see him, wasn't this a bit too formal?" "Brother Qin Yu, looks like you still haven't realized your own status." Man Gone smiled and said, "Being able to open the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, and even killing Emperor Yu and his group of people. At the same time, you also possess the painting of the bewitching god. These are already enough for His Majesty to set up a banquet to invite you." A person's strength was not only determined by their cultivation level, but also by their weapons and so on. Qin Yu possessed the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, and was able to contend against Emperor Yu. This meant that Qin Yu's status was comparable to Emperor Yu. Therefore, for the Ox Demon Emperor to invite him to a banquet was nothing much. Big brother Mangon, there is a matter that I need your help with. Qin Yu had always had a matter that he had yet to resolve. Whatever it is, just say it. Mangon said straightforwardly. Qin Yu waved his hand, and 5 people appeared out of thin air. These 5 people were Tan Meng Kong Lan, 2 Gang 1 Air, and the already grown-up little Niu Hua. Master, Kong Lan and the others said respectfully. Currently, Niu Hua, who was as strong as a calf, was looking at Qin Yu with his eyes wide open. When he heard Kong Lan and the others' voices, he woke up and said, Zheng Zhong pays his respects to Lord Qin Yu. Niu Hua was only a nickname, but his real name was Zheng Zhong. Qin Yu nodded. Big brother Mangon. Zheng Zhong grew up in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. I also do not want him to stay there for his entire life. Moreover, I do not have a fixed residence, and it would not be safe for him to follow me. Therefore, I wish to ask you to take care of him. Of course, I will let Kong Lan and the others follow him. Qin Yu stated his purpose. Mangon looked at Kong Lan and the others, and his face revealed a smile. Kong Lan, Tan Meng, and 2 Gang were all level 9 demon kings. Although they were not demon emperors, they were still very useful. Don't worry, leave this Zheng Zhong to me. When you see him in the future, you will definitely be satisfied. Mangon said happily. When Niu Hua heard Qin Yu and Mangon's words, his heart was excited and moved. Within the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, the only ones who were able to stay by his side were Tan Meng and the others. Although they were his family, it was still those few people. Niu Hua's heart was also looking forward to the outside world. Kong Lan, from today onwards, the 4 of you have regained your freedom. You will work under Mangon and help me take care of little Niu Hua. Are you willing? Qin Yu looked at the 4 people. Kong Lan and the others had a trace of unconcealable joy in their eyes. Freedom was probably what all the spiritual beasts in the 10,000 Beasts Atlas wanted the most. We are willing. Kong Lan and the others nodded. With a thought, Qin Yu removed the soul binding on Kong Lan and the others. After settling little Niu Hua's matter, Qin Yu's heart also eased a worry. With little Niu Hua following him, Qin Yu also knew that it would definitely be difficult for little Niu Hua to live peacefully. Being by Mangon's side was much better. Evening. Within the Imperial City. Within the Ox Demon Emperor's palace. The Ox Demon Emperor was the true ruler of the Beast clan. But his imperial palace could not be considered luxurious. It only had a special kind of grandeur. The entire imperial palace was completely black. From afar, it looked like a prehistoric giant crouching beast. Under Mangon's lead, Qin Yu stepped into the other courtyard of the imperial palace. Today's so-called banquet for Qin Yu was actually a total of 3 people. The Ox Demon Emperor, Mangon and Qin Yu. Of course, before arriving at the other courtyard, Qin Yu did not know that there were only 3 people. When he took a look, beside a large tree similar to an osmanthus tree in the other courtyard, there was a table. Surrounding the table, there were only 3 stools. At that moment, other than the female attendants, there was only one man in the other courtyard. A man filled with a domineering aura. Stubbles that were like steel needles, bright and spirited eyes. Even when he turned his head and waved his hand, one could feel this person's power. This was a man with a sense of power. Your Majesty, this is Qin Yu. Mangon slightly bowed and said with a smile. Qin Yu immediately bowed slightly and said, Qin Yu pays his respects to Your Majesty, the Ox Demon Emperor. Currently, he had something to ask of someone. Moreover, the Ox Demon Emperor's status and strength were both extremely high. Being a bit respectful was something that he ought to do. The Ox Demon Emperor carefully looked at Qin Yu, then nodded and said with a smile. As expected, you're a genius youngster. When Qianer went to the mortal realm, you were still at the Deshang stage. And now, you've already reached the Emperor level. Your cultivation speed. I reckon that even that genius immortal emperor from the immortal realm is inferior to you. Qin Yu only slightly smiled. His cultivation speed. In reality, from the time he ascended to his current strength, even if calculated according to the real time, it was indeed only a few hundred years. The Ox Demon Emperor's words were very artistic. Inadvertently, he praised Qinyu a little. Every sentence seemed to be very simple, yet it caused Qinyu to feel incomparably comfortable. After all, some of the things that the Ox Demon Emperor said were things that Qinyu was proud of. As the conversation deepened, Qinyu didn't feel much estrangement from the Ox Demon Emperor. Your Majesty Ox Demon Emperor, I presume that Big Brother Man Qian has already told you my purpose in coming to the Jade Cloud Star. After I ascended, I've been searching for my brother the entire time. Can you tell me now, where is my second brother Ho Fei? Qinyu asked a question at an appropriate time. The Ox Demon Emperor raised his cup and drank it. He then lightly smiled and said, You're talking about that Ho Fei. He's currently in the ape and monkey clan's inherited forbidden area. A trace of envy appeared in the Ox Demon Emperor's eyes. Inherited forbidden area? Qinyu looked at the Ox Demon Emperor. Man Qian, who stood to the side, was also shocked. That's the legendary inherited forbidden area of the ape and monkey clan? Man Qian's eyes also contained an unconcealable envy. The Ox Demon Emperor nodded and said, That's right. The inherited forbidden area is a sacred land established by a certain senior of the ape and monkey clan, who descended from the divine realm to the immortal, devil and demon realm a very long time ago. A senior that descended from the divine realm to the immortal, devil and demon realm? Qinyu finally realized how extraordinary this inherited forbidden area was. The Ox Demon Emperor smiled as he looked at Qinyu. Qinyu, do you know who are the strongest experts in the demon realm? Qinyu shook his head. Qian, tell Qinyu, said the Ox Demon Emperor with a light smile. Man Qian took a deep breath. He then explained to Qinyu, the three strongest people in the demon realm, under normal circumstances, are the Dragon Emperor, the Peng Demon Emperor, and the Great Ape Emperor. What about Emperor and I? Qinyu remembered this level 9 Demon Emperor super divine beast. I'm talking about the Dragon Emperor, the Peng Demon Emperor, and the Great Ape Emperor of every generation. Although the current Emperor and I is very powerful, once the current Emperor and I ascends, it would be hard to say whether or not a new phoenix would appear. However, the Dragon Emperor, the Peng Demon Emperor, and the Great Ape Emperor would always appear. Qinyu naturally understood. Dragon Emperor, Peng Demon Emperor, Great Ape Emperor, these were all titles. Of course, they would appear in every generation. The reason why they're powerful is because the Dragon Emperor possesses the Dragon Clan's inherited treasure. The Peng Demon Emperor also possesses the Peng Clan's inherited treasure. The power of the inherited treasure is even stronger than divine artifacts. Man Qian smiled as he looked at Qinyu. Qinyu's heart shook. At this moment, he finally understood why Wu Lan said that the Dragon Emperor was very powerful. So powerful that he was able to make Immortal Emperor and I Yang submit. The Dragon Emperor was a level 8 Demon Emperor super divine beast. He possessed an inherited treasure. His strength was so powerful that even level 9 Demon Emperor super divine beasts would not dare to say that they would be able to defeat him. An inherited treasure that's even more powerful than divine artifacts? What's that? Qinyu was surprised. Man Qian and the Ox Demon Emperor both shook their heads. Their purple-eyed Ox Demon Emperor could also be considered as powerful. Unfortunately, he did not possess an inherited treasure. How could the Peng Demon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor possibly tell them about the secrets of the inherited treasure? Qinyu suddenly thought of a matter. Your Majesty Ox Demon Emperor, earlier Big Brother Man Qian said that the Dragon Emperor and Peng Demon Emperor both possessed inherited treasures. Then what about the Great Ape Emperor? Why is he powerful? Why is he comparable to the other two? The Ox Demon Emperor smiled and said, the reason why the Great Ape Emperor is powerful is precisely because of this inherited forbidden area. What's so powerful about the inherited forbidden area? Qinyu was curious about this inherited forbidden area. The Ox Demon Emperor sighed and said, to be honest, if they were to truly fight, then the Dragon Emperor and Peng Demon Emperor, who possess inherited treasures, might be slightly stronger than the Great Ape Emperor. That's because the Great Ape Emperor does not possess any inherited treasures. Qinyu frowned. He felt that what the Ox Demon Emperor said was a bit contradictory. The ape and monkey clan is fond of battle. As for the inherited forbidden area, it is a place where one can comprehend the Tao through battle. If one were to train there, it would allow their battle power to rapidly increase. For example, the Dragon Emperor and the Great Ape Emperor are both level 8 demon emperors. The Dragon Emperor possessed an inherited treasure that allowed his strength to increase by 10 times. However, the Great Ape Emperor relied on his comprehension of battle to increase his attack power by 8 to 9 times. Experts of the same level, if they were to not rely on any weapons, then even if the Dragon Emperor, Peng Demon Emperor, and them were to join hands, they would still not be a match for the Great Ape Emperor. To comprehend the Tao through battle. This is what the successive generations of Great Ape Emperors relied on to look down upon the immortal, devil and demon realm. The Ox Demon Emperor sighed. Chapter 390. Comprehending the Tao through battle. Qin Yu exclaimed. Man Qian sighed and said, normally, when our soul realm increases, it is a slow increase, or it is an increase in the heavenly Tao. However, the previous generations of Great Ape Emperors did not do that. They fought again and comprehended the Tao from the battles. That is why their cultivation speed is very hard to say. If it is slow, then it is slow, but if it is fast, then it is also very fast. It is possible that a single battle would allow them to increase by 1 level. However, if they were to cultivate by comprehending the Tao through battles, their attack power would be terrifyingly strong. Qin Yu nodded and said, compared to the so-called inheritance treasures of the Dragon Clan and the Rock Clan, I think the inheritance forbidden land of the Ape Clan is more precious. Yes, the Ox Demon Emperor also agreed. There's only a single inherited treasure. Only the successive generations of Dragon Emperors and Peng Demon Emperors possess it. When they abdicate and ascend to the divine realm, they must leave their inherited treasures behind. When they and the Great Ape Emperor reach the divine world, they will realize that they are much weaker than the Great Ape Emperor. Inheritance treasures couldn't be carried around all the time. On the other hand, the Tao comprehended by comprehending the Tao through battle was fused into the depths of one's soul, and one would benefit immensely. Hou Fei, as a member of the entire ape and monkey clan, is the only super divine beast other than the current Great Ape Emperor. Naturally, he has the qualifications to use the inherited forbidden area. The Ox Demon Emperor sighed. Clearly, the Ox Demon Emperor had thought of their purple-eyed Ox Demon Emperor. The purple-eyed Ox Demon Emperor possessed innate divine strength. However, firstly, they didn't have an inherited treasure, and secondly, they didn't have an inherited forbidden area. Your Majesty Ox Demon Emperor, I hope that you can bring me to the ape and monkey clan's inherited forbidden area. Qin Yu said solemnly. The Ox Demon Emperor nodded and said with a smile. Qin Yu, I know where you want to go. However, since that place is known as the inherited forbidden area, even the members of the ape and monkey clan are unable to go there. Even Mangon is unable to go there. And you, Qin Yu naturally understood the importance of this forbidden land. How could he allow others to enter his own clan's forbidden land of inheritance? Not long ago, I sent a message to the Great Ape Emperor. After a discussion, the Great Ape Emperor has agreed to let you go. After saying those words, the Ox Demon Emperor looked to Qin Yu. As expected, Qin Yu displayed a pleasantly surprised expression. Why did the Great Ape Emperor agree to let me go? Qin Yu did not think that just because he possessed the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, he had the qualifications to enter. Why would the Great Ape Emperor care about that? The Ox Demon Emperor nodded and said, the reason why he agreed to your request was because you are Hou Fei's big brother. The Great Ape Emperors of the past were qualified to bring outsiders to the forbidden land of inheritance. The Great Ape Emperor once allowed me to take a look at the forbidden land of inheritance. Hou Fei is the future Great Ape Emperor, and you are Hou Fei's big brother. Hou Fei will definitely be willing to bring you there. Therefore, the Great Ape Emperor agreed. Hearing the Ox Demon Emperor's explanation, Qin Yu suddenly understood. So it was because of Hou Fei. Then when are we leaving? Qin Yu asked. Whenever you want. The Ox Demon Emperor smiled as he looked at Qin Yu. I can leave anytime. Qin Yu originally wanted to leave immediately. However, the Ox Demon Emperor gave him so much face. If he were to really leave immediately, he would be asking for a yard after receiving an inch. Thus Qin Yu said, "How about this? We'll leave early tomorrow morning. Is that okay?" "Okay." The Ox Demon Emperor nodded. Times on the morning of the second day, Qin Yu followed the Ox Demon Emperor and left the Jade Cloud Star. The forbidden land of inheritance was not something that could be entered without permission. The Ox Demon Emperor also did not dare to bring too many people. This time, only the two of them left. Let's not talk about these two people for now. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan was very tired these days. Ever since Emperor Yu suddenly disappeared, Mu Yan had to be in charge of all the matters of the territories under Emperor Yu. The death of the 26 immortal emperors left a vacuum of authority that required him to take care of. Emperor Yu's disappearance, Mu Yan still could not let others know about it. Once others knew about it, it might cause their hearts to waver. Even if he hid the news of Emperor Yu's disappearance, the hearts of the experts under Emperor Yu were wavering. After all, the influence of that battle was too vile. Sigh. I truly don't know when His Majesty will return. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan was lying on the chair. He was filled with helplessness. Mu Yan was truly tired of the days of being a single person supporting a great pillar. Most importantly, he did not know when this kind of days would end. No one knew when Emperor Yu would return. Mu Yan. An indifferent voice sounded out of nowhere. Mu Yan's entire body trembled. He stood up with lightning speed and looked to the side not far away. A figure. A familiar appearance. A completely different temperament. Your Majesty, is that you? Mu Yan was also uncertain. Was this still the Emperor Yu, who always had a smile on his face? The Emperor Yu from back then was always wearing a purple gown. And now, he was still wearing a purple gown. However, he was no longer wearing a thick gown. Instead, he was wearing a purple gown. What's wrong? How long has it been since we last met? You don't even recognize me? Said Emperor Yu with a light smile. Even if the current Emperor Yu were to smile, it would still cause others to feel fear. Your Majesty, could it be that you? Mu Yan had a pleasantly surprised expression on his face. Emperor Yu nodded and said with a light smile. That's right. I've already broken through and reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. The pleasantly surprised expression on Mu Yan's face finally blossomed. Your Majesty, this is great. This is truly great. Mu Yan's heart was completely relaxed. Back then, during the battle to encircle and kill Qin Yu, the influence of Emperor Yu's forces was too great. Mu Yan's mind was also exhausted from managing it. And now, Emperor Yu actually broke through level 8 Immortal Emperor and reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. This was a great shock to the experts from the other forces. Emperor Yu's status was even higher than before the battle to encircle and kill Qin Yu. After all, level 9 Immortal Emperor was a very high level of cultivation for immortals. Mu Yan, those territories and whatnot under my command, prepare them. I plan to gift them to the Mystic Emperor. Emperor Yu's voice was very indifferent. However, in Mu Yan's ears, it was undoubtedly like a sudden clap of thunder. Your Majesty, this is a power that you've spent countless of effort and countless years to obtain. Mu Yan grew anxious. Emperor Yu stared at Mu Yan. Being stared at by Emperor Yu like this, Mu Yan also calmed down. Mu Yan, ever since we stepped onto the path of cultivation, our goal was to comprehend the heavenly Tao and surpass our limits. As for the goal in the depths of my heart, it was to ascend to the divine realm. Now that I've reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, why would I need those territories under my command? Mu Yan, when I was cultivating this time, I suddenly felt that sometimes power and authority are also the fetters of our cultivation. Emperor Yu emitted an aloof and ice-cold aura. When I abandoned my power and authority, I instead gained enlightenment and reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. Mu Yan stared blankly at Emperor Yu. After a long time he nodded, sighed and said, Perhaps what your Majesty said is correct. Emperor Yu nodded. I'm going over to the Mystic Emperor's side. You should prepare the matter of the fusion of the two forces. After saying that, Emperor Yu disappeared before Immortal Emperor Mu Yan's eyes. Red maple leaves, red world, white-clothed Mystic Emperor. Her black hair poured down onto the ground like a waterfall. Suddenly, a trace of purple appeared in the red world. Emperor Yu looked to the Mystic Emperor, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. Mystic Emperor She raised her head and looked to Emperor Yu in shock. You broke through? When she saw Emperor Yu, she felt that her husband was no longer the husband of the past. Furthermore, she was unable to see through Emperor Yu at all. That's right. Emperor Yu nodded. She stood up and carefully looked to Emperor Yu. Feng Yu, that Qin Yu gave you a huge blow. However, I never expected that you would actually benefit from this disaster and break through the level 8 Immortal Emperor level and reach level 9 Immortal Emperor. Furthermore, you're no longer the same as before. I've come to my senses now. Back then, I was indeed in the wrong. Now, I'll hand over all of my subordinates to you. Can you forgive me? Emperor Yu had a rare trace of gentleness in his eyes. She looked to Emperor Yu in shock. We husband and wife fought for such a long time for those worldly possessions. Was it worth it? I've thought it through. Emperor Yu lightly embraced Xianxi. Xianxi did not resist and leaned against Emperor Yu's chest. Brother Feng Yu. Hearing Xianxi call him Brother Feng Yu, Emperor Yu looked to Xianxi, who was in his bosom, with disbelief. How many years has it been? How many years has it been since his wife called him by such an intimate address? Emperor Yu's heart was filled with deep affection. Currently, there are only two things that I cannot abandon. One is you. The other is killing Qin Yu. Xianxi nodded. Brother Feng Yu, you broke through because of this blow. I reckon that if you don't kill Qin Yu, you will never be able to get rid of that heart's demon. This heart's demon will always exist. Brother Feng Yu, it will be very difficult for you to pass the divine tribulation. Xianxi also knew that the divine tribulation was capable of inducing the heart's demon. The stronger the heart's demon, the harder it would be to induce the heart's demon. The best method was to get rid of the heart's demon first. It's fine. Now that I've reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, if the two of us join hands, in addition to the matchless great sword, even if that blood dragon were to come again, he would still die, said Feng Yu coldly, not to mention the two of them joining hands. With Feng Yu's current strength, he would definitely be able to defeat the blood dragon Ao Wushu. Brother Feng Yu, rest assured, that Qin Yu will definitely die. Xianxi raised her head and said to Feng Yu. Feng Yu also nodded. Times in the boundless cosmic space, there were two figures using greater teleportation to advance. Senior Ox Demon Emperor, how much further do we have to go before we reach there? Qin Yu asked the Ox Demon Emperor. After leaving the Jade Cloud Star, they traveled for 3 days in a single breath and passed through nearly half of the Beast Clan's territory. After that, Qin Yu and the Ox Demon Emperor arrived at the border of a certain star field and began to travel using greater teleportation. Qin Yu did not expect that the inherited prohibited area was actually located between two star fields. The distance between the star fields was extremely far. Furthermore, in the boundless cosmic space between the two star fields, there were also some indescribable terrifying energies. Ordinary Immortal Emperor and Demon Emperor experts would not dare to rashly enter that place. I reckon there's still a day's time. Qin Yu, don't be anxious. From the planet we were on to the inherited prohibited area, there are a total of 9 extremely dangerous places in the boundless cosmic space. If not for the guidance of someone who knows the way, wanting to reach the inherited prohibited area is simply a 90% chance of death, said the Ox Demon Emperor with a smile. Qin Yu did not have the slightest doubt. That was because he saw quite a few dangerous places. Those were places that Qin Yu did not dare to approach at all. Using greater teleportation unceasingly, the Ox Demon Emperor still had to take care of Qin Yu and not teleport too far. Otherwise, with the Ox Demon Emperor's greater teleportation distance, he would have already arrived at the inherited prohibited area. After a day, in the boundless cosmic space, Qin Yu and the Ox Demon Emperor stood side by side in the sky, looking ahead. We're about to arrive. It's right ahead. The Ox Demon Emperor pointed ahead. In front of Qin Yu and the Ox Demon Emperor was an enormous golden disc-shaped object. This golden disk was extremely large, comparable to a star. At the same time, there were gray-colored strips flowing unceasingly on the golden disk. "Fly directly over," said the Ox Demon Emperor. Even though there was still a distance between them and that golden disk, Qin Yu was already able to sense the fluctuations of this cosmic space. It was simply impossible for them to use greater teleportation. Qin Yu stood on the divine sword Sky Piercer and proceeded forward with his fastest speed. Your speed is pretty good." The Ox Demon Emperor looked at Qin Yu in astonishment. Along the way, when the two of them were using greater teleportation, he had always been paying attention to Qin Yu. And now he discovered that Qin Yu's flying speed was actually not much slower than his. "It's because of this divine sword," Qin Yu casually explained. The Ox Demon Emperor took a profound glance at Qin Yu. With the Ox Demon Emperor's experience, he naturally knew that it was absolutely impossible for him to reach this speed by relying on the divine sword alone. The Ox Demon Emperor had already guessed that Qin Yu's body was very powerful. Although it appeared to be close, it was extremely far when flying. There was no need to mention Qin Yu's current speed. However, Qin Yu actually flew for an entire half a day before arriving at the golden disk. After arriving in front of the golden disk, Qin Yu's eyes were filled with boundless golden color. This golden disk was truly too large. Its volume was comparable to an enormous star. Furthermore, Qin Yu discovered that this golden disk was basically a disc-shaped oblate sphere that was formed by a type of golden quicksand that was constantly flowing. This is the cosmic fragmentary golden stream. The Ox Demon Emperor pointed to the unceasingly flowing golden sand grains. Such an enormous cosmic fragmentary golden stream comparable to a star is rarely seen, even in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Cosmic fragmentary golden stream? When Qin Yu was in the hidden Emperor star, he had seen it before. Merely, he didn't pay much attention to it at that time. "That's right, that's me. If I were to enter this cosmic fragmentary golden stream, those flowing fragmentary golden streams would directly mince my body into pieces and scatter my soul on the spot." The Ox Demon Emperor sighed. Qin Yu couldn't help but look at the omnipresent golden sand grains in astonishment. This cosmic fragmentary golden stream has gathered here to form a disk. However, the center of the disk is empty. The ape and monkey clan's inherited forbidden area is located in the center of this golden disk. The Ox Demon Emperor pointed to the distance. Qin Yu sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Such an enormous amount of cosmic fragmentary golden stream actually obediently formed a disk to protect the inherited forbidden area. The senior who created the inherited forbidden area was truly too frightening. "How do we enter?" Qin Yu looked to the Ox Demon Emperor in confusion. The Ox Demon Emperor didn't answer. Suddenly, the Ox Demon Emperor pointed to the distance. "Look, the Great Ape Emperor has arrived." Chapter 391. Qin Yu looked toward the direction pointed by the Ox Demon Emperor. However, he didn't see anyone. Only after a short moment did he see a person walking over from the depths of the cosmic fragmentary golden stream. Wherever this person passed, the cosmic fragmentary golden stream automatically opened up a path for him. It didn't harm him at all. How is this possible? Qin Yu was unable to believe that there was someone in the immortal devil and demon realm that could survive the cosmic fragmentary golden stream. The Ox Demon Emperor chuckled and said, "Qin Yu, Sun Yuan is only unharmed by the cosmic fragmentary golden stream here. If he were to run to other places, such as the cosmic fragmentary golden stream formed in the hidden Emperor star, he would still be killed." "You mean?" Qin Yu guessed. The Ox Demon Emperor nodded. "That's right. The cosmic fragmentary golden stream here has been refined by that senior from the ape clan that descended from the divine realm. It is already different from the ordinary cosmic fragmentary golden stream." Qin Yu understood. The cosmic fragmentary golden stream here had been tamed. "Man Quan, you've come." That figure had already arrived in front of them. Qin Yu carefully looked at the Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan. The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan was a bit shorter than Qin Yu. He appeared short and thin, just like Wu Lan. However, the Great Ape Emperor possessed a kind of domineering aura. He was even more domineering than the Ox Demon Emperor. This must be Qinyu. The Great Ape Emperor looked at Qinyu. Qinyu immediately bowed and said, Qinyu pays his respects to Senior Great Ape Emperor. The Great Ape Emperor's attitude toward Qinyu was pretty good. Perhaps it was because of his relationship with Hou Fei. With a light smile he said, Amen. I've learned from Hou Fei that your ascension was even slower than Hou Fei's. In merely 300 years, you've actually reached the Emperor level. Not bad, not bad. Qinyu smiled modestly. Is the inherited forbidden area of my clan safe enough? Sun Yuan turned around and looked at the endless cosmic fragmentary golden stream. At the same time he said to Qinyu, show off. There were very few people who could enter the forbidden land of inheritance. Sun Yuan would usually show off to the newcomers. However, Qinyu knew that this forbidden land of inheritance was indeed worthy of showing off. Just the cosmic fragmentary golden stream outside was already terrifying enough. Of course it's safe. This is the cosmic fragmentary golden stream. If others were to enter, they would only be throwing their lives away, said the Ox Demon Emperor with a smile. What are those gray strips? Qinyu asked. At first I saw gray strips in the distance, but now I can't see them. Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan nodded and said, that's a type of wind, a very unique wind. It's called the heart-cleansing wind. Only by relying on this wind will you be able to pass through the cosmic fragmentary golden stream area and reach the forbidden land of inheritance. Relying on this wind? Qinyu was puzzled. The Great Ape Emperor laughed. When the ancestors of my ape and monkey clan built the forbidden land of inheritance, they set up 2 ways to enter. First, any super divine beast that possesses a golden-eyed stone ape or a fire-eyed water ape can ignore the cosmic fragmentary golden current and enter the interior. You all saw it just now. Qinyu nodded. That ancestor who built the forbidden land of inheritance had indeed thought things through. The second method is to use a secret technique to control that heart-cleansing wind. That heart-cleansing wind will be controlled and wrap around you, preventing you from being attacked by the cosmic fragmentary golden current. Afterwards, the heart-cleansing wind will directly fly into the interior of the forbidden land, and you will naturally be safe. Qinyu couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This great thousand realms is truly filled with extraordinary things. I have never heard of this heart-cleansing wind before. It's actually able to protect people from the attacks of the cosmic fragmentary golden current. All right. Let's not waste any more time. The 2 of you wait a moment. The Great Ape Emperor's hands transformed into lotus flowers. At the same time, he was saying some unintelligible language. Afterwards, the Great Ape Emperor pointed with one hand, and a gust of wind suddenly flew out from the cosmic fragmentary golden current and arrived before the 3 of them. Qinyu Manquan, don't be nervous. Manquan, this is your second time, you should know. Afterwards, the Great Ape Emperor pointed with one hand, and that heart-cleansing wind split into 2. It wrapped around Qinyu and the Ox Demon Emperor respectively. Once Qinyu was wrapped around by the wind, he discovered that he was actually unable to see anything in his surroundings. It was as if he had entered a small world. It was only 4 to 5 square meters in size, and only 3 meters in height. Within this small world, Qinyu was able to move about safely. However, Qinyu was unable to see anything outside of this small world. Qinyu, don't worry. Being wrapped by this heart-cleansing wind, you are unable to hear anything from the outside world. You are unable to see anything from the outside world. The demon awareness of the outside world is also unable to penetrate through. In short, this heart-cleansing wind is blocking everything. Only I, the caster of the technique, am not restricted by this restriction. The Great Ape Emperor's voice sounded in Qinyu's mind. This caused Qinyu to feel a bit more at ease. So mystical. Qinyu couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. When this heart-cleansing wind wrapped around someone, it was actually able to form a small world. Furthermore, it was able to restrict sound, demon awareness, vision, and everything else. Qinyu, we will be able to pass through the region of the cosmic fragmentary golden stream in a short while. During this period of time, you can wait patiently, said the Great Ape Emperor via voice transmission. As for Qin Yu, who was within the heart-cleansing wind, he was unable to sense the movement of the heart-cleansing wind at all. After a long time, Qin Yu only felt that the small world he was in was stirred. Soon after, it dispersed and turned into a lump of heart-cleansing wind and flew away. At this moment, Qin Yu also saw the Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor. "We've arrived," said the Great Ape Emperor with a smile. At this moment, Qin Yu was looking at his surroundings in astonishment. The hollow region within the cosmic fragmentary golden stream was spherical in shape. Its diameter was roughly several hundred miles. Qin Yu was able to see the boundless cosmic fragmentary golden stream from all directions, be it to his front, back, left or right. Within the space within the cosmic fragmentary golden stream, a small mountain was floating. Qin Yu, the Ox Demon Emperor, and the Great Ape Emperor were currently in front of this small mountain. This small mountain was roughly 10 to 20,000 meters tall. In front of this small mountain, Qin Yu and the other two were like 3 ants. "This is the inherited forbidden area." The Great Ape Emperor pointed to this small mountain. "Senior Great Ape Emperor, is Hou Fei inside right now?" Qin Yu became excited. The Great Ape Emperor nodded and said, "Do you see it? It's that tunnel." "That's right, that's the one. There's an open-air platform tunnel outside. Hou Fei is inside that tunnel." The tunnel that the Great Ape Emperor pointed to was the only tunnel in the entire mountain. Qin Yu was about to fly over immediately. "Stop." The Great Ape Emperor immediately stopped Qin Yu. "Qin Yu, you can't go in." "What's wrong?" Qin Yu grew anxious. "Qin Yu, listen to what the Great Ape Emperor has to say before you decide whether to go in or not," the Ox Demon Emperor said from the side. Qin Yu looked to the Great Ape Emperor. The Great Ape Emperor smiled helplessly and said, "Do you see the endless amount of heart-clearing wind surrounding this inherited forbidden area?" Qin Yu nodded. This heart-clearing wind was also very strange. The large amount of heart-clearing wind was like an eggshell wrapping around the egg yolk, wrapping around the entire mountain tightly. Fortunately, the heart-clearing wind was transparent from the outside, and one could see the inside. From the outside, you can see the inside through the heart-clearing wind. However, once you enter the inside, it's as if you've entered a small world. You're unable to see the outside at all, the Great Ape Emperor said carefully. Qin Yu knew. He had already sensed it when he arrived earlier. "Qin Yu, let me tell you, this inherited forbidden area is restricted. The super divine beasts of the ape and monkey clan can only enter it 3 times in their lifetime. After that, they'll definitely die." The Great Ape Emperor had a solemn expression. Qin Yu listened carefully. The other clansmen of the ape and monkey clan can only enter once in their lifetime. The Great Ape Emperor sighed. When the clansmen of the ape and monkey clan enter, they will undergo the test of the inherited forbidden area. However, that test is done step by step. If you're not a clansman of the ape and monkey clan, once you enter, you'll meet someone with the same power as you. When the Great Ape Emperor said this, Qin Yu became confused. "There are other people in the inherited forbidden area?" Qin Yu immediately asked. According to what the Great Ape Emperor said, as long as the clansmen of the ape and monkey clan entered, they would meet someone with the same power as them. If that was the case, then there should be a lot of people in the inherited forbidden area. Otherwise, how could there be someone with the same power as them? No. The Great Ape Emperor shook his head. "In short, it's hard for me to explain it clearly. Qin Yu, I can explain it to you like this." The Great Ape Emperor thought for a while and said, "When the clansmen of the ape and monkey clan cultivate inside, their opponents are people with half of their power." "Half?" Qin Yu was confused. "That's right. For example, Hou Fei will constantly fight inside, and the inherited forbidden area will send someone to be his opponent. This person's power will only be half of his, but his opponent's comprehension of the stick technique will have already reached the pinnacle. Even if their power is only half, Hou Fei will be heavily injured almost every time," the Great Ape Emperor said solemnly. Qin Yu was shocked. A person with only half of Hou Fei's power would still be heavily injured. There are a total of 6 levels of stick techniques inside. When Hou Fei enters, he starts from the lowest level of stick techniques and progresses step by step. After so many years, He only won once. And then he starts to challenge the second level of stick techniques. Furthermore, the person using the stick technique will only have half of his power. The Great Ape Emperor looked to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, if you were to enter, then your enemy's strength would be the same as yours. The level of the stick technique that they use would also not start from the first level. Instead, it would start from the level that corresponds to your soul's level. What is the level of your soul realm now? The Great Ape Emperor asked. Around level 2 or 3, Immortal Emperor. Qin Yu answered honestly. Then your opponent will use the second level stick technique, and it will be the great success of the second level stick technique. The attack power displayed should be around 10 times that of a level 3 Immortal Emperor. As for his defense is invincible. Only by knocking down the stick in his hand will you be considered to have won. Qin Yu was truly shocked. Invincible defense, attack power 10 times that of a level 3 Immortal Emperor. Thus, if an outsider were to enter this place, they would definitely die. After all, his defense is unequaled. Only when your comprehension of battle surpasses his would you be able to strike down his long stick. The Great Ape Emperor stared at Qin Yu and said solemnly, Qin Yu, it's best that you think carefully. Chapter 392. The Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor were both looking at Qin Yu, waiting for Qin Yu's answer. Invincible defense. Only by knocking down the opponent's long stick would one be victorious. Qin Yu was a bit anxious. What he was most proud of was his defense. However, when faced with an opponent who was known to have invincible defense, he was simply no match for him. Merely comparing the comprehension of battle, how could Qin Yu surpass the pinnacle of the second stick technique? Suddenly, Qin Yu clenched his teeth. A Hou Fei came out. The Ox Demon Emperor's voice attracted Qin Yu's attention. At this moment, the Ox Demon Emperor and the Great Ape Emperor both looked toward the open platform outside of the forbidden area of inheritance. Qin Yu also looked over. A familiar figure was currently staggering onto the open platform. There were still bloodstains on his body. It was precisely Hou Fei, who he hadn't seen for many years. Fei! Qin Yu couldn't help but shout. However, Hou Fei acted as if he didn't hear him. He sat down cross-legged and placed the black stick on his knees. Hou Fei sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. His two hands were tightly holding onto the black stick. Strong wind blew, but Hou Fei's body didn't move at all. Fei! Qin Yu became anxious. How many years had it been since they last met? A surge of emotions surged out from the bottom of his heart. Qin Yu, don't shout anymore. Hou Fei is unable to hear or see you. Could it be that you've forgotten? This entire forbidden area of inheritance is completely enveloped by the heart-clearing wind? As long as one enters it, it'll be as if they've entered a small world. They won't be able to see or hear anything from the outside. The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan stopped Qin Yu. Only then did Qin Yu come back to his senses. Soon after, he laughed at himself. He was too involved and couldn't see clearly. He even forgot about the uniqueness of the heart-clearing wind. Qin Yu carefully looked at the current Hou Fei. Compared to the past, the Hou Fei of today was less mischievous and more determined. He sat cross-legged on the open stone platform like a stone statue, not moving in the slightest in the wind. Fei! Qin Yu could tell from Hou Fei's pale face and the blood on his body that Hou Fei was severely injured. Qin Yu looked at the Great Ape Emperor and frowned. Senior Great Ape Emperor, was Fei seriously injured in the Forbidden Land? The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan smiled indifferently and said, in the forbidden area of inheritance, we have to go through a bitter battle every single time. If we aren't careful, we might even lose our lives. The people sent by the forbidden land of inheritance are merciless. Hou Fei would fight once or twice a day. Other than successfully defeating the first set of staff techniques, the rest of the time, he would fail and be seriously injured. Qin Yu was shocked. Once or twice a day. Qin Yu knew that this kind of life and death battle would consume a large amount of mental energy every time. With such a frequent battle, even he would be in great pain. Every single time is so ruthless. What if Hou Fei dies? Qin Yu looked at the Great Ape Emperor. The great ape emperor shook his head and smiled proudly. Die? Ho Fei is a super divine beast. Since he entered, he started from the lowest set of staff techniques. Although Ho Fei's battles are very difficult, it isn't to the point where he will lose his life. If he dies so easily, Ho Fei can only blame himself for not being worthy of being a super divine beast. Senior Great Ape Emperor, how many times have you entered the forbidden land of inheritance? Qin Yu suddenly asked. Qin Yu remembered clearly that the ape clan's super divine beasts had 3 chances to enter the forbidden land of inheritance. It's already been 3 times. A trace of helplessness appeared in the great ape emperor's eyes. If I had only entered twice, I might have used my last chance to call Ho Fei out. However, you can only rely on yourself now. Qin Yu instead felt relaxed. This great ape emperor has entered 3 times without dying. With Fei's talent, he shouldn't die so easily. Qin Yu looked at the great ape emperor. Senior Great Ape Emperor, how many years has it been since Fei entered? What is his current cultivation level? A trace of delight appeared in the great ape emperor's eyes. Ho Fei has already entered for 60 years. 60 years ago, he was a level 6 demon king. And now, I reckon he's a level 2 or 3 demon emperor. It's only 60 years. The Ox Demon Emperor sighed. Oh Sun Yuan, your ape clan possesses the advantage of possessing the forbidden land of inheritance. If he were to train normally, then no matter how talented this Ho Fei is, I reckon he'd only be a level 7 or 8 demon king. However, he's now a level 2 or 3 demon emperor. Sun Yuan smiled indifferently. Ever since the ancestors of my ape clan descended from the divine realm and created this forbidden land of inheritance, every generation of super divine beasts have comprehended the Tao through battle. Our cultivation speed is not related to time. Instead, it's related to the number of battles we've fought. Although it's only been 60 years, Ho Fei has experienced 20 to 30,000 life and death battles. With that many battles, what does it matter if he's a level 2 or 3 demon emperor? Qin Yu, let me ask you, after you've stepped into the immortal devil and demon realm, how many life and death battles have you had? Sun Yuan looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu thought for a moment. He smiled apologetically and said, about 10 battles. Everyone knew the difference between 10 battles and 20 to 30,000 battles. Go ahead and show off. The Ox Demon Emperor opened his eyes wide. Life and death battles. Do you think that it's that easy to find an expert of the same level as you? If the opponent is too strong, then you might lose your little life. If the opponent is too weak, then it's simply useless. To have a life and death battle, and to be able to barely preserve your little life, do you think that's that easy to satisfy? In my entire life, I've fought less than 100 battles. Other than your ape clan's forbidden land of inheritance, what other place would allow Ho Fei to fight so many battles in these 60 years? Just as they were talking, Ho Fei, who was originally sitting cross-legged on the stone platform of the cliff, stood up. Holding the black stick in his hand, Ho Fei once again entered the passage. Senior Great Ape Emperor, if I want to go in, do I have to directly charge through? Qin Yu's voice suddenly sounded. You really want to go in? The Great Ape Emperor looked at Qin Yu in shock. Facing an enemy with unparalleled defense and an attack power that was 10 times stronger than a level 3 immortal emperor, the Great Ape Emperor did not believe that Qin Yu had much chance of winning. Qin Yu, I know that you have the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. However, that's useless. The Great Ape Emperor thought that Qin Yu wanted to use the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. If you were to send out the Demon Emperor of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, then the Forbidden Land of Inheritance will automatically send out another Demon Emperor with the same strength and attack power as the Demon Emperor you sent out. The more Demon Emperors you send out, the more people the Forbidden Land will send out. You can only rely on yourself. Senior Great Ape Emperor, don't try to persuade me anymore. I only want to know, if I want to go in, how exactly do I go in? Qin Yu asked again. The Great Ape Emperor looked at Qin Yu. Facing the Great Ape Emperor's gaze, Qin Yu's expression did not change. Alright, if you want to go in, then you can just fly over. Remember, once you fly in, you won't be able to easily come out. You must fight with your enemy, before you have the qualifications to come out. The Great Ape Emperor said carefully. I know, Qin Yu said and was about to fly over. Wait a moment, there's one more thing. The Great Ape Emperor said hurriedly. Qin Yu also stopped. Qin Yu, once you enter that passageway, you will have to face a battle. The only safe place in the entire Forbidden Land of Inheritance is that open-air platform. The Great Ape Emperor pointed over. That's the place where Ho Fei recovered from his injuries. Only that place is the safest place. And once you enter the passageway, you will have to face a battle. I got it. Qin Yu nodded. Qin Yu, once you enter, you will only have to fight with your enemy. You don't necessarily have to win. As long as you can survive from his hands and escape to the stone platform, you will be able to come out. The way to come out is, walk to the blue stone at the edge of the stone platform and stand on top of it. The Forbidden Land will automatically teleport you out. Qin Yu nodded. Soon after, he flew toward the floating little mountain. Seeing Qin Yu's figure, the Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor glanced at each other. Sun Yuan, do you think Qin Yu will be able to come out alive? Asked the Ox Demon Emperor softly. The possibility of him coming out alive is very low, said the Great Ape Emperor while shaking his head. Qin Yu's body passed through the heart-clearing wind. This heart-clearing wind did not cause any harm to his body. He landed on the stone platform of the stone platform. This stone platform of the stone platform was not very big. On its edge was a blue stone with a glossy surface. That was the way out. Qin Yu turned around to look. Sure enough, the entire Forbidden Land of Inheritance had become a small world. He was unable to see anything outside at all. Foreign clansmen, you have a short period of time to prepare. You will soon meet your enemy. A voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind out of thin air. Qin Yu's expression changed. His figure immediately became as fast as lightning and rushed into the unfathomably deep passageway before him. This passageway was rather long. However, with Qin Yu's speed, it was as if he had teleported. In an instant, he rushed through the passageway and arrived at an extremely vast palace hall. In this palace hall, Qin Yu stopped. That was because there were actually 6 passageways in front of Qin Yu. These 6 passageways were not very long. Qin Yu was able to faintly see that at the end of these 6 passageways, there should be an empty space similar to the palace hall in front of him. Qin Yu raised his head and looked at a row of large words carved on the wall of the palace hall. Heaven's startling staff cannon. What a powerful aura. Merely those 4 words caused Qin Yu's heart to tremble. It was as if what was in front of him was not a row of words, but a towering mountain that he had to look up to. Qin Yu swept his gaze across the wall. On this wall, other than the row of words Heaven's startling staff cannon, there were pictures and some words. Those were pictures of a person using a long staff. These pictures were divided into 6 sets. They were respectively, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 72 staff strikes, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 36 staff strikes, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 18 staff strikes, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 9 staff strikes, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 3rd staff strike, Heaven's startling staff cannon's 1st staff cannon. However, those pictures were extremely mysterious. It was as if they were illusory and constantly changing. Qin Yu was unable to see any of the pictures clearly. Even Qin Yu began to doubt whether they were pictures or not. My ape clan's disciples, when ascending to the divine realm, if they succeed in the Heaven's startling staff cannon, they can enter my sect and become my disciple. At the bottom of the picture was a row of words that caused Qin Yu to be taken aback. The person who wrote these words should be the Ape Clan senior, who descended from the divine realm. Qin Yu secretly guessed. At this moment, a cold voice resounded in Qin Yu's mind. Outsider, in view of the fact that you possess a low-grade defensive divine armor, I will warn you first. You are not allowed to use the low-grade defensive divine armor. Otherwise, you will be killed directly. Qin Yu was stunned. Your opponent's strength is on par with yours. He uses the Heaven's startling 36 staff canes. Under the situation where you do not use the defensive divine armor, you can obtain victory or escape to the open stone platform outside. Either way, you can safely leave the forbidden area. Hearing all this, Qin Yu's expression changed. Do not use the divine armor? Then how do I fight? Qin Yu was a little anxious. Qin Yu did not doubt the words of this voice. It was indeed easy for someone who could control the cosmic fragmentary golden stream that was comparable to the size of a star to kill him. For example, if Qin Yu was thrown into the cosmic fragmentary golden stream, he would probably die on the spot. Lead to the second battlefield. The cold voice resounded. Soon after, Qin Yu felt the stars move. When Qin Yu carefully looked at the place he was at, it was a spacious interior of the mountain. Qin Yu's heart moved. He turned around and looked. There was indeed a passage leading to this place. Vaguely, Qin Yu could see the other end of the passage. The other end of the passage should be the large hall he had just been in. Can it be that this place is the end of one of the 6 passages I saw? Qin Yu guessed. Qin Yu's guess was correct. The 6 passages lead to the 6 battlefields. At this moment, Hou Fei was currently training in the battlefield that the first passage leads to. As for Qin Yu, he was also transported to the second battlefield by the mysterious energy of the inherited prohibited area. Whoosh! A figure suddenly descended on the second battlefield. This person was holding a long blue staff. He was extremely skinny, and his upper body was naked. This was Qin Yu's enemy. Outsider, your opponent is me. This person looked coldly at Qin Yu. I am the Azure Guard, one of the 6 guards of the forbidden area. Azure Guard? Qin Yu didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. Azure Guard, when dealing with an outsider, used the same power as him. The voice that had once sounded in Qin Yu's mind rang out on the second battlefield. The Azure Guard's face was filled with respect. He bowed and said, Yes, my lord. Outsider, according to the rules set by the master, this is a test of your understanding of battle. If you use the divine armor to resist the attack, you will be breaking the master's rules. Those who break the rules will die without a doubt. That cold voice rang out in the empty battlefield. Qin Yu felt that the people in the forbidden area were too terrifying. He could feel that the Azure Guard's power was unfathomable. He was just suppressing his power to the same level as him. There were 6 guards in the forbidden area. What kind of lord was there? You may begin. The cold voice rang out. The Azure Guard lifted his eyelids. He suddenly stared at Qin Yu. Qin Yu felt as if he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. The long stick in the Cyan Guard's hand suddenly flipped. Like a curtain of rain, it covered the sky and covered the earth in all directions. Qin Yu's line of sight was filled with countless stick silhouettes. With merely a single movement, Qin Yu was already unable to dodge. Chapter 393. Qin Yu couldn't avoid it, so he stood there calmly. His 10 fingers moved magically, as if he was playing a zither. Suddenly, countless golden finger lights covered the sky and covered the earth. The density of these golden finger lights was not inferior to that of the countless stick shadows. Lu Xing's 10,000 heavy fingers. The stick shadows and finger lights disappeared. The Cyan Guard and Qin Yu's attack was a group attack. Although the power of each attack wasn't great, it covered a wide area. The Cyan Guard's eyes had a trace of excitement. This is the first time I've seen a finger technique break a stick technique. Let's see how you resist my next move. However, the Cyan Guard's words suddenly stopped because the golden finger lights covered the sky and covered the earth once again. Idiot! Qin Yu sneered in his heart. The Cyan Guard had stopped to talk nonsense during a fight. The Cyan Guard's power was actually much higher than Qin Yu's. Although he had suppressed his power to the same level as Qin Yu, the Cyan Guard still wanted to play a game. That was why he was still gossiping during a fight. You still want to play this game? The Cyan Guard sneered in his heart. The Cyan long stick shook and turned into a circle of stick shadows. It was like an inverted cone that covered the golden finger lights. All the golden finger lights that were covered by the stick shadows turned into nothingness. No. The Cyan Guard's face changed. He was shocked to find that most of the golden finger lights were illusory. Qin Yu had a cold smile on his face. This was Lu Xing's 10,000 illusionary fingers. Only one of the finger lights had an amazing attack power. The others were just illusions. If the 10,000 heavy fingers were a group attack, Then the 10,000 illusionary fingers were a single attack. The real attack power of the finger lights was extremely great. The Cyan Guard used a group attack to resist. Although the stick shadows covered a wide area, the power contained in them was weaker. Puff! The real attack power of the 10,000 illusionary fingers brushed past the stick shadows and shot directly at the Cyan Guard's body. The Cyan Guard's entire body froze, and he didn't continue to attack. Instead, he carefully looked at Qinyu, and his expression became even more focused. Outsider, you're worthy of my attention. However, I must warn you, you can only keep your life if you knock down my long staff, or escape to the balcony outside. It's useless for you to attack me. Qinyu frowned. The person who set the rules is really a bastard. What kind of test is this? Invincible defense. I have to knock down his weapon to win. Qinyu felt very aggrieved, but there was nothing he could do. In the forbidden land of inheritance, he had to abide by the rules. Outsider, witness the last 3 strikes of the heaven's startling 36 staff strikes. Ha! The Cyan Guard's cyan staff suddenly transformed into a cyan rainbow light. Qinyu felt as if the cyan staff shadow was refracting light. After 2 or 3 strange transformations, it arrived in front of his eyes. Qinyu had no choice but to retreat. 3 consecutive strikes landed on Qinyu's body. Qinyu's entire body was smashed into the wall, and then he flipped over and fell to the ground. What a strange attack. Yes, it's an attack that uses the transformations of space to create. It's the same principle as the 10 termination fingers. Qinyu stared at his opponent. At this time, there were already staff marks on Qinyu's body. His insides had been severely injured, and blood had seeped out of his body. However, his life force healed him in the blink of an eye. Your physical defense is quite strong. The Cyan Guard sneered. The cyan staff shadow once again pierced through space in a strange way. This time, Qinyu was prepared. He retreated, and at the same time, he flicked his 10 fingers. 10 finger lights shot out at almost the same time, shooting out in parallel. However, the strange thing was that these 10 finger lights actually merged into one. Lu Xing's 10 termination fingers. Peng! The golden finger lights that had merged into one collided with the rapidly approaching staff shadow. The Cyan Guard's attack failed once again. Qinyu secretly let out a sigh of relief. Everything was as he had expected. That staff attack, just now, was the same principle as his 10 termination fingers. The Cyan Guard's face darkened. Outsider, I didn't expect your battle comprehension to be so high. There's still the last move of the 36 staff strikes. I want to see if you can withstand it. The Cyan Guard raised his long staff. Qinyu's attention was highly focused. He stared at the Cyan Guard in front of him. This forbidden area of inheritance even stipulated that his power is equal to mine. I don't believe that this forbidden area of inheritance can calculate the power of my sky-piercing finger. Watch carefully, outsider, the Cyan Guard said calmly. The long staff moved. Qinyu only felt that the space was distorted. In a blink of an eye, 36 stick silhouettes appeared in front of him in succession. These 36 stick silhouettes were different in order. However, Qinyu was able to sense that every single stick silhouette was real. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. Qinyu was certain in his heart that there was actually only a single stick, and that there would definitely not be 36 sticks. Furthermore, it was simply impossible for him to determine which stick was the real one using his eyes and immortal awareness. Qinyu only had a single chance. Bang! A staff shadow fiercely smashed onto Qinyu's body. Yes, this is the time. Qinyu's eyes flashed. His forefinger, which was already prepared, pierced the long staff like lightning. Forefinger, long staff. The two collided. At this moment, time seemed to stop. At this moment, all 36 staff shadows disappeared. Bang! The Cyan Guard's hand shook. Qinyu also felt his fingers go numb. The Cyan Guard looked at Qinyu in disbelief. Your power is definitely above the level of a 3rd-level immortal emperor. You hid your power. Otherwise, with your soul realm and power, it's impossible for you to release such a powerful attack. It's absolutely impossible. The Cyan Guard didn't expect that Qinyu could use the black hole to accelerate and released such a strange attack. Don't run. The Cyan Guard shot out with extreme speed. At this moment, Qin had already started to run. Only an idiot wouldn't run. Even the sky-piercing finger couldn't shake off the long staff in your hand. Do you think I can knock it down? Unfortunately, at this moment, the furious Cyan Guard actually disobeyed the order to only use the power of a third-level immortal emperor. He increased his speed to a terrifying level and blocked Qin Yu's path. With one running and the other chasing, Qin Yu and the Cyan Guard had already run from the second battlefield to the main hall. It was the same main hall that Qin Yu had entered when he first entered. Outside or die. The Cyan Guard attacked again. I failed again. I can't block the last 36 overlapping waves. Hou Fei quickly flew out of the first battlefield. Ever since he successfully challenged the first level of the staff art, Hou Fei had been challenging the heaven-startling 36 staff strikes. However, he failed every single time. After so many years, Hou Fei had learned the first 35 moves of the heaven-startling 36 staff strikes. However, he was always lacking in the last move. Only by completely comprehending it would he be able to defeat his opponent. While Hou Fei was running for his life, the Red Guard who was originally fighting with Hou Fei didn't chase after him. That was because the Red Guard also knew that the inheritance Forbidden Land was used to train the disciples of the Ape Clan. Moreover, the Red Guard could only use half of Hou Fei's power. In terms of speed, he couldn't catch up to Hou Fei. This 36 overlapping waves is the advanced level of the 35th move. It uses the comprehension of space to transform, and the accumulation of energy in the body, to achieve an explosive power in an instant. 36 staff strikes in a row. Each staff strike borrows the power of the previous staff strike to form the strongest attack. Hou Fei was still thinking in his heart while he was running for his life. After so many years, Hou Fei completely understood the 36 overlapping waves. However, he was still a little lacking when it came to using it. There is a battle ahead. As Hou Fei was flying at an extremely fast speed, he could already feel that there was an intense battle in the Great Hall ahead. That's strange. Other than me, there are other people in the Forbidden Land? Didn't the Great Ape Emperor use up all 3 of his attacks? Hou Fei was curious. Who exactly was the person fighting? In the blink of an eye, Hou Fei scuttled to the Great Hall. At this moment, he saw the furious Green Guard ruthlessly smashing a black-haired youth with a cyan staff shadow. Seeing this black-haired youth, Hou Fei's eyes widened. Big brother. Hou Fei was shocked. When he woke up, Hou Fei saw the situation on the battlefield and became furious. What's wrong with this Green Guard? He actually relied on his invincible defense and didn't defend himself in the slightest. Instead, he chased after my big brother and attacked him. The current situation was exactly like this. The Green Guard believed that Qin Yu was hiding his power. This caused the Green Guard to believe that he had been deceived. The furious Green Guard completely exploited the loophole in the rules. He didn't defend himself at all and attacked directly. No matter how strong Qin Yu was, he wouldn't be able to resist him. The energy in the Green Guard's body started to revolve according to a special method. The strongest move of the heaven-startling 36 staff strikes was used again. The heaven-startling 36 staff strikes. It relied on a special method to instantly accumulate and compress the energy to the extreme. Then, it attacked with the first staff strike as fast as lightning. Then, it borrowed the power of the first staff strike to attack with the second staff strike. Then, it borrowed the power of the second staff strike and added energy to attack with the third staff strike. Each staff strike borrowed the power of the previous staff strike. When the attack reached the 36th staff strike, its power would be ridiculously great. Under normal circumstances, even if someone could block the first staff strike, they wouldn't be able to block the subsequent attacks. However, Qin Yu used the sky-piercing finger right from the start to break this move. This was because the power of the sky-piercing finger was too great. It shook the staff in the Green Guard's hand out of control. Although the Green Guard was still holding the staff in the beginning, he couldn't continue to use it. This time, the Green Guard used the heaven-startling 36 staff strikes again. The Green Guard didn't defend at all. His long staff struck fiercely. The shadow of the staff was fleeting. In an instant, 36 vague shadows of the staff appeared in front of Qinyu. Qinyu was so angry that he wanted to curse. However, he didn't have any other choice. He could only use the same method. He took the staff strike head-on, and then used the sky-piercing finger. Bang! The index finger collided with the head of the staff. The green guard sneered. After the long staff was hit by Qinyu's attack, it actually bounced back at an extremely fast speed. The green guard's body turned, and the long staff spun in a circle. Then, it smashed toward Qinyu at an even more terrifying speed. Borrowing power. Too fast. Qinyu's expression changed. The speed of the long staff after borrowing power had surpassed the limit of Qinyu's reaction speed. He was simply unable to use the method from earlier. He had to use his body to feel the true shadow of the staff and then break it. This required time. The faster the shadow of the staff, the harder it would be to break it. Bang! 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 4 consecutive staff strikes landed on Qinyu's body. Each staff strike was faster than the previous one. 36 overlapping waves. If the first staff strike was not broken, then it would be harder to break it. Qinyu's heart was filled with anger. This damned place did not allow the use of divine armors. Furthermore, his opponent's defense was unparalleled. He had to strike down his opponent's long staff in order to win. What was this? Murder. This was murder. Qinyu's guess was very correct. When the inherited prohibited area was designed, it was a form of murder to outsiders. It only left behind a slight trace of hope. Fuck, I'm not playing anymore. Qinyu's eyes turned red. He immediately wanted to use the Jianglan's realm. However, right at this moment, bang, bang, bang. The same staff shadows. Merely these staff shadows were black in color. From another direction, they collided with the Cyan Guard's staff shadows unceasingly. The trajectory of these staff shadows were practically the same. The attacking method was also exactly the same. Big brother, quickly run away. The guards of the inherited prohibited area are all vicious and merciless. A familiar voice transmission sounded in his mind. Qinyu looked over. Fei. Qinyu's face blossomed with pleasant surprise. However, his expression instantly changed. Ho Fei had only blocked over 20 staff strikes in succession. In the end, he was unable to block any more. The black staff was knocked flying and smashed into the wall of the palace. Soon after, another staff shadow smashed onto Ho Fei's body. Blood dyed Qinyu's vision red. Fei! Qinyu's eyes instantly turned red. His body moved. He immediately grabbed onto Ho Fei. Soon after, he wanted to rapidly rush outside. However, there were still the final 7 staff strikes of the 36 overlapping waves. With the first staff strike of these 7 staff strikes, Qinyu was knocked to the side. He was unable to escape toward the passageway. Big brother! Seeing this scene, the seriously injured Ho Fei's eyes also turned red. However, in a blink of an eye, Ho Fei discovered that he was no longer in the palace hall. He had already arrived in the Jianglan's realm. After Qinyu took Ho Fei into the Jianglan's realm, he also felt a lot more relaxed. Right when Qinyu was about to enter the Jianglan's realm, stop. An ice-cold voice sounded. The Cyan Guard's body suddenly stopped. It was as if he had been hit by the body-fixing technique. Cyan Guard, when you were chasing after the foreign clansman earlier, in order to chase after the foreign clansman, you used your energy to reach the level of a level 6 immortal emperor. You have already surpassed the limit of the rules. Those who violate the rules die. An ice-cold voice sounded. Lord, please spare me, please spare me. The Cyan Guard promptly knelt down and said in fear. Humph. After a cold humph, the Cyan Guard became motionless. Qinyu, who was beside him, saw that the Cyan Guard's eyes had grown dim. Soon after, he fell onto the ground and became motionless. Qinyu was unable to refrain his shock. This lord of the forbidden area was truly incomparably cold. Foreign clansmen, you can safely leave now. That ice-cold voice contained a rare trace of cordiality. Chapter 394. In the spacious and empty main hall, only Qinyu was alive. Currently, Qinyu's heart was still in shock. Earlier, The Cyan Guard was actually killed by the Lord of the Inherited Forbidden Area. Although Qin Yu was unable to see through what method the Lord of the Inherited Forbidden Area had used, such ruthlessness and mercilessness still caused Qin Yu's heart to tremble. Red Guard, collect the Cyan Guard's corpse. That Lord's voice once again sounded in the main hall. With a flash of a red blur, a red-clothed man whose appearance was extremely similar to the Cyan Guard appeared in the main hall. This Red Guard bent down and picked up the Cyan Guard's corpse. Within his eyes was a trace of grief. Foreign clansman, are you still not leaving? Hearing these words, Qin Yu was suddenly woken up. This Lord of the Inherited Forbidden Area has an incomparably strange temperament. It's best that we don't waste time with him. Qin Yu thought of his brother, and immediately moved Hou Fei out from the Jianglan's realm. Hou Fei's figure appeared in the main hall, as if he had teleported. Big brother. Hou Fei's eyes were moist. Qin Yu's heart also trembled. He then restrained his emotions and hurriedly shouted, "Don't waste time, let's go to a safe place first." The only safe place in the entire Inherited Forbidden Area was that open stone platform. Hou Fei also woke up. That's right, let's go. With a flip of his hand, Hou Fei retrieved the black stick that had fallen to the ground. After that, he rapidly left the main hall together with Qin Yu. They passed through the passageway and arrived at the open stone platform. The open stone platform was all alone on the edge of this floating mountain. Below it was an endless void. At the same time, there was also a strong wind blowing. As for Qin Yu and Hou Fei, the two brothers, they were standing on the open stone platform. They were looking at each other. At this moment, the two of them still clearly remembered their past. The first time they met each other at Uncle Lan's residence at the bottom of the sea, the time when the two of them and Kuro wandered the underwater cultivation world together, the time when they finally established the Star Pavilion, and the time when they had no choice but to part ways before the azure clouds rode in Ni Yang's realm. Everything was still in front of them. Among the three brothers, Hou Fei and Kuro had no choice but to ascend and enter the immortal devil and demon realm first. Qin Yu, on the other hand, had been bitterly cultivating in the immortal world for over 100 years before he was able to comprehend the dark star realm and ascend. After hundreds of years of separation, they were finally reunited. Last time, they were only at the Deshang stage, but now, the two brothers were already emperor-level experts. One was a super divine beast of the ape and monkey clan, the future great ape emperor. One of them was Qin Yu, whose name had spread far and wide, and whose strength had suppressed Emperor Yu. Even though the world had changed, only that promise remained unchanged. Hou Fei looked at Qin Yu. His entire body was lightly trembling. Ever since he had come to the immortal devil and demon realm, Hou Fei had been thinking about meeting Qin Yu and Kuro all the time. However, he did not have any information about Qin Yu at all. As for Kuro, according to the order of the Great Ape Emperor, he was not allowed to enter the territory of the Bird Clan before reaching the Emperor level. Asceticism. Crazy asceticism. In these hundreds of years, other than asceticism, Hou Fei had only been asceticism. This included the life and death battles in the inherited prohibited area. What was the reason for all of this? It was all for the sake of being able to find his brothers, so that he would have the qualifications to protect his brothers. Finally, Big Brother had come. Big Brother. Hou Fei's eyes were filled with tears. He strongly hugged Qin Yu. Bean-sized teardrops finally fell from his eyes. Fei. Qin Yu also tightly hugged his second brother. After coming to the immortal devil and demon realm, Qin Yu's heart had always been lonely. He had always wanted to be together with his brothers. He had always worked hard for that. Even when being chased by Emperor Yu, Blood Devil Emperor and many others, Qin Yu had never retreated. And now he had finally succeeded. After a long time, the two brothers separated. Big Brother, how did you find me? How have you been all these years? Oh right, have you created the later stages of the star transformation? Do you know how Mixed Hairbird is now? You. Hou Fei asked 7 questions in a row. Suddenly he stopped. That was because he saw Qin Yu's appearance of wanting to say something, but not knowing what to say. Big Brother, haha, I'm a bit excited. Hou Fei scratched his head and grinned. It's okay, I'm also very excited. Qin Yu felt his entire body was comfortably warm. That kind of warm feeling came from his soul. Soon after he asked, Fei, how have you been all these years? Ho Fei proudly said, These years I've roughly done 2 things. The first was to find mixed hair bird. The second was to train. I had also wanted to find you before. However, I didn't know where you had ascended to. I also didn't know when you would ascend. I was even worried if you had successfully created the later stages of the star transformation. Qin Yu nodded and said, That's right. At that time, I was also thinking, what if I failed to create it? I still haven't seen you all. I also haven't seen Li Er. Thus, I kept insisting that I couldn't fail. Fortunately, I succeeded. Big brother, I can see that your current strength is quite strong. Originally, I thought that among us 3 brothers I was definitely the strongest. Never would I have thought that big brother would also be this strong. Could it be that big brother has been bitterly training ever since you came to the immortal, devil and demon realm? Ho Fei asked puzzledly. Qin Yu took a deep breath and slowly said, Speaking of this matter, we have to talk about the grudges between me and Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu? Could it be that this idiot provoked you? Ho Fei's eyes began to widen. Qin Yu extended his hand and patted Ho Fei's shoulder. Soon after, he began to slowly talk about the series of events that happened after he came to the immortal, devil and demon realm. From the death of his disciple in the Maple Moon Star, to the enmity with Emperor Yu, to the battle in the Blue Flame Star, to the battle with the Blood Devil Emperor's son in the Hidden Emperor Star, to the pursuit of Qin Yu by the 2 great experts in the Blue Snow Star, all the way until the sealing element refining flames array surrounded and killed Qin Yu. After a series of conversations, Ho Fei had been worried about Qin Yu the entire time. Although he saw that Qin Yu was fine now, but hearing about those battles still made his heart palpitate. Ever since I opened the 3rd layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, killed 26 immortal emperors in one go, and forced Emperor Yu to flee, no one dared to provoke me anymore. Thus, I was able to arrive at this place with relative ease. After Qin Yu finished saying those words, he took a deep breath. Ho Fei blinked his eyes repeatedly. Anger was flickering in his eyes. That idiot Emperor Yu and that Blood Devil Emperor, they actually dared to bully people like that. Ho Fei's anger soared to the heavens. Soon after, he looked to Qin Yu. Big brother, that disciple of yours Lu Hanshu, was actually forced to death by them. Those bastards. Qin Yu waved his hand and said, Don't worry, there will be a day when they will pay all their debts. Qin Yu's tone was indifferent. However, his eyes were emitting a fierce light. Oh, that's right. Big brother, earlier, I suddenly disappeared from the main hall and arrived in another world. What was that? Ho Fei looked to Qin Yu curiously. Earlier, he was worried about Qin Yu in the Jianglan's realm and did not think too much about it. However, now he became curious. Qin Yu smiled and said, This is the divine artifact that Uncle Lan gave me, the Jianglan's realm. Uncle Lan? Ho Fei suddenly realized. Uncle Lan is indeed amazing. He was like this when he gave you the Jianglan's realm. He was also like this when he gave me that black stick. What's wrong with the black stick? Qin Yu asked. According to Qin Yu's knowledge, this black stick was only as hard as a divine artifact. There didn't seem to be anything else. Ho Fei laughed and said, Big brother, did you know, before I arrived at the inherited forbidden area, I had already reached level 6 Demon King. From level 1 Heavenly Demon to level 6 Demon King. It only took me a bit more than 200 years. Don't you think that's too fast? Qin Yu thought about it. Indeed it was so. Even the genius Immortal Emperor Jun Luoyu had only reached level 2 Immortal Emperor after several hundred years, or close to 1,000 years. It was estimated that he had spent 200 to 300 years to reach level 6 Golden Immortal. Ho Fei's speed was indeed astonishing. The reason why my cultivation speed was so fast was because of this black stick. Ho Fei said proudly. Oh. Qin Yu looked at the black stick in Ho Fei's hand in astonishment. Ho Fei smacked his lips and said, Speaking of the black stick, I don't know why, but when I held the black stick, I felt as if my entire body was close to the universe and nature. My soul's realm also increased very quickly. However, if I didn't hold the black stick, I wouldn't have such a mysterious feeling. There's such a thing. Qingyu was astonished. If that was really the case, then it ought to be because of Uncle Lan. After all, this black stick was given to Hou Fei by Uncle Lan. When talking about Uncle Lan, Qingyu and Hou Fei were both filled with amazement. However, regarding Uncle Lan himself, the two brothers didn't know much about him. Fei, do you have any news about Xiaohei? Qingyu suddenly asked. I remember that you once went to look for Xiaohei. Hou Fei nodded and said, yes, I went to look for Mixed Hair Bird. I relied on the profound ice lion that had a soul connection with him. However, just as I confirmed that Mixed Hair Bird was in the bird clan's territory, I was forcefully brought back by the Great Ape Emperor before I had the time to search for him. Suddenly Hou Fei's face turned solemn. Big brother, I've been worried about something. Say it. Qingyu felt his eyelids twitch. Hou Fei's face turned solemn. According to the profound ice lion, Shizhan, Mixed Hair Bird should have escaped from the bird clan's territory. I suspect that he was being chased by someone. Qinyu's face changed. He had suspected that before. However, he didn't want to believe it. Qinyu immediately refuted. Impossible. You also know that Xiaohei is at least a high-level divine beast. However, according to the information that I've gathered, during the period of time when Xiaohei ascended, there wasn't a high-level divine beast like Xiaohei. Therefore, Xiaohei is a variation divine beast that no one knows about. Variation divine beast. There's absolutely no one in the immortal devil and demon realm that knows about him. If no one knows about him, who would chase after him for no reason? Qingyu still remembered what Ao Wuming had said. Hou Fei nodded and said, Big brother, what you said makes sense. There are high-level divine beasts in the eagle clan. However, they're not black eagles. Mixed Hair Bird is indeed a variation divine beast. No one knows about him. However, that doesn't mean that no one chased after him. Perhaps he provoked someone after his ascension. Big brother. Hou Fei solemnly looked at Qingyu. You must know that we've only ascended for a short period of time. I was able to rely on the black stick and the forbidden area of inheritance to reach my current strength. However, what about Mixed Hair Bird? Xiaohei has the cloud-piercing spear. Qingyu immediately said. This cloud-piercing spear and Hou Fei's black stick were made of the same material. They were both gifted by Uncle Lan. Perhaps it also has the ability to assist in one's cultivation. That's right. Hou Fei nodded. However, big brother, you must understand that even if he had the cloud-piercing spear, how far could he have reached in a short 300 years? I was able to reach the level of a level 3 demon emperor from a level 6 demon king in 60 years. It was all because of the forbidden area of inheritance. If I didn't have the forbidden area of inheritance and only relied on the black stick, I would at most be a level 8 or 9 demon king. Big brother, you should know how big of a gap there is between emperor level and below. Hou Fei's words shocked Qingyu. Indeed, Hou Fei was only able to reach the level of a level 3 demon emperor because of the forbidden area of inheritance. What about Xiaohei? Probably below emperor level. Back then on the Amber Moon Star, Qingyu was unable to injure Yu Qingzi, even though he had the sword Immortal Puppet's undying body. The emperor level domain was his greatest reliance in defeating people below emperor level. Big brother, you don't have to worry. That's only my guess. Hou Fei saw that Qingyu was a bit worried and hurriedly said. Qingyu nodded and said, I understand what you're saying. What you're thinking is very reasonable. Right now, there are indeed a lot of people in the bird clan who have the strength to kill Xiaohei. However, at the very least, Xiaohei is still alive and well. If Xiaohei were to die, his spirit beast Shizhan would naturally know. Thus, regardless of whether Xiaohei is safe or in danger, we must hurry and go to the bird clan's territory to find him. Qingyu said firmly. If he's safe, then we three brothers can reunite earlier. Qingyu laughed. However, in the blink of an eye, Qinyu's eyes turned cold. If there's really someone who dares to kill Xiaohei, then we'll go and exterminate that bastard. Right. Hou Fei also became excited. Back then, Us three brothers were unhindered in the underwater world of cultivation. Who dared to provoke us? It's the same now. Even in the immortal devil and demon realm, provoking any one of us three brothers is equivalent to provoking all three of us. Ho Fei was a tyrannical person. As he spoke, his eyes turned red. Fei, are we leaving this place immediately? Qin Yu inquired. After all, Ho Fei only had 3 chances to enter the inherited forbidden area. Wasting 1 chance meant 1 less chance. What are we waiting for? Ho Fei laughed. I already can't wait. Furthermore, even if we don't get this chance, there are still 2 more chances. Do you think that I'm that stupid great ape emperor? If I were to truly train, then I'd be able to reach the heaven-startling single-stick strike realm in 1 try. Seeing Ho Fei's arrogant appearance, Qin Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The heaven-startling stick technique was divided into 6 sets. The current Ho Fei hadn't even managed to successfully train in the 2nd set. Furthermore, the further one goes, the harder it is to train in it. For Ho Fei to train in the 6th set, the difficulty was not ordinary. Good. Fei, since you don't care about this opportunity, then I won't waste any more time. We'll leave immediately. After we leave, we'll bring that Shizhan and immediately depart for the Bird Clan's territory. Qin Yu was also filled with excitement. Ho Fei also shouted excitedly. The 2 brothers directly stepped onto the smooth bluestone at the edge of the stone platform. The bluestone was faintly flickering with light. Qin Yu and Ho Fei were directly transported out of the inherited forbidden area. However, after Qin Yu and Ho Fei left, a burst of indistinct whispers sounded from the inherited forbidden area. Chapter 395. In the core region of the boundless disk formed by the cosmic fragmentary golden stream, the Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor were chatting in front of a floating mountain. However, just when the 2 of them were chatting happily, Qin Yu and Ho Fei suddenly appeared in front of the Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor. Qin Yu, you managed to endure it? The Great Ape Emperor and the Ox Demon Emperor both had an astonished expression. Qin Yu took a glance at the Great Ape Emperor. He was a bit angry in his heart. He was angry that this Great Ape Emperor actually didn't tell him the most important thing. That the forbidden area of inheritance does not allow the use of divine armors. When Qin Yu entered the forbidden area of inheritance, his greatest reliance was the powerful defense of the divine armors. Why didn't this Great Ape Emperor mention it? If he wanted to harm me, there's no need for him to use such methods. A trace of doubt appeared in Qin Yu's heart. Was he an enemy or a friend? Qin Yu was unable to determine in his heart at this moment. Senior Great Ape Emperor, I wish to ask you about a matter. Qin Yu looked at the Great Ape Emperor. Little brother Qin Yu, feel free to ask, said the Great Ape Emperor with a smile. Qin Yu's expression became serious. Only when I entered the forbidden area of inheritance did I know that the forbidden area of inheritance does not allow the use of divine armors. You didn't tell me about this beforehand. Can you tell me the reason? Ho Fei also looked at the Great Ape Emperor. He frowned and a trace of anger appeared in his eyes. Your Majesty, my big brother is an outsider. It's extremely dangerous for him to enter the forbidden area of inheritance. Why did you let him enter? Furthermore, you didn't even mention the fact that divine armors are not allowed to be used? Even if the Sun Yuan was the Great Ape Emperor, Ho Fei was still unable to tolerate him treating his big brother like this. Fei, I entered the forbidden area of inheritance willingly. This was something that Qin Yu admitted himself. The Great Ape Emperor smiled embarrassedly and said, Little brother Qin Yu, at that time, you were in a hurry to enter the forbidden area of inheritance. I hurriedly told you some things that you need to remember. At that time, I didn't pay attention to this matter. It's up to you whether you believe me or not, but I know that you're in danger because of me. I'm really sorry. Hearing the Great Ape Emperor's words, Qin Yu forgave him. Firstly, the Great Ape Emperor didn't need to use such a small trick to deal with him. Secondly, the Great Ape Emperor apologized to him with his status. Thirdly, Qin Yu also felt that the Great Ape Emperor wasn't someone who would use such a small trick. Senior Great Ape Emperor, you had so many things to take note of back then. so it's normal that you missed out on one of them. Qin Yu decided to keep the peace. The way the Great Ape Emperor looked at Qin Yu was obviously different now. He, the Great Ape Emperor, liked to fight and had always been straightforward. He was too lazy to use any tricks. Furthermore, he was a careless person to begin with. Jade Cloud Star Imperial City. Qin Yu, Hou Fei Mangon, the Great Ape Emperor, and the Ox Demon Emperor were all here. The Great Ape Emperor had stayed at the side of the Forbidden Area to take care of Hou Fei. Since Hou Fei had come out, he naturally came here as well. Hou Fei rubbed his nose and said casually, "Your Majesty, you've also tested me. I've completely learned the second set of stick techniques, so I should be able to go to the Bird Clan's territory now." Hearing that, the Great Ape Emperor smiled. At the moment before Qin Yu arrived, Hou Fei only had the last move of the second set of stick techniques, 36 overlapping waves, that he hadn't completely learned. However, he had still barely managed to form an embryonic form of it. When Qin Yu was attacked by that move, he was worried about Qin Yu. The furious Hou Fei had also used the 36 overlapping waves at that time to block the attack. In reality, Hou Fei had already comprehended the essence of that move at that time. Although Hou Fei wasn't able to completely block the attack at that time, it was mainly because the Cyan Guard's attacks had already been stacked. Each stick attack was heavier than the previous one. That was why Hou Fei wasn't able to block it. Hou Fei himself was still confused. When he returned to the Jade Cloud Star and started to cultivate again, he discovered that he was already able to use that move in one breath. Hou Fei, you've successfully learned the second set of stick techniques. Your strength is also close to that of a third-level demon emperor. You indeed possess the qualifications to go to the Bird Clan's territory, said the Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan while laughing. Hou Fei was overjoyed. He laughed and said, "Big brother, it seems that we can set off for the Bird Clan's territory tomorrow." Tomorrow? The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan, the Ox Demon Emperor Mangon, and the others were all stunned. Qin Yu nodded and said with a smile, "We're really worried about our third brother. He really won't be able to stay here any longer." Hearing Qin Yu's words, everyone also understood that this matter had already been decided. The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan shook his head and smiled. A set of golden battle armor appeared on the surface of his body. That was precisely the Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan's divine armor. Showing off, Hou Fei muttered in a low voice. Divine armors were precious and rare. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, there were only a few of them. However, what Sun Yuan did next caused everyone to be stunned. He removed the blood contract. Holding the divine armor in one hand, he handed it to Hou Fei and solemnly said, "Hou Fei, accept the golden abyss. From today onwards, the golden abyss is yours." Hou Fei was dumbstruck. After a long time he finally stuttered. Your Majesty, what are you doing?" The Great Ape Emperor lightly smiled and said, "You are the future Great Ape Emperor of my ape and monkey clan. Your safety is extremely important. Although you've reached the Emperor level, in the entire Bird Clan's territory, there are too many demon emperors that can kill you. If you have this golden abyss, there won't be many that can threaten your life. As for those few that can threaten you, I also know them. They also know how important you are to my ape and monkey clan. They know the severity of the matter and will not touch you." The Great Ape Emperor had a face filled with smiles. "Well then, accept it." Hou Fei was extremely fond of this divine armor. Earlier, when he saw the Great Ape Emperor appear on his body, he was jealous and said that he was showing off. However, who would have thought that this would happen? "What about you?" Hou Fei looked to the Great Ape Emperor. The Great Ape Emperor said heroically, "Me, in the entire immortal devil and demon realm, with my strength, even if I don't use the divine armor, how many people would be able to injure me? Furthermore, don't forget that I've trained in the inherited forbidden area for so many years. It's not a joke." Hou Fei immediately received the divine armor with a beaming smile. Others might not know of the Great Ape Emperor's true strength, but Hou Fei knew. This Great Ape Emperor had already mastered the heaven-startling 3 stick strikes. According to Hou Fei's estimation, if the Great Ape Emperor were to use the 4th set of the heaven-startling 9 stick strikes, then ordinary level 9 immortal emperors would not be a match for him. If he were to use the heaven-startling 3-stick strikes, then the Pung Demon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor, who possessed the inherited treasures, would likely not be much stronger than the Great Ape Emperor. Of course, if the Great Ape Emperor were to one day be able to comprehend the highest level of the heaven-startling single-stick strike, then he would likely become invincible in the entire immortal, devil, and demon realm. Unfortunately, that was too difficult. In all these years, the Great Ape Emperors of the immortal, devil, and demon realm had only managed to comprehend the heaven-startling 3-stick strikes. Heaven-startling single-stick strike. If I were to comprehend it one day, would there still be anyone in the immortal, devil, and demon realm who would dare to be arrogant in front of me? Ho Fei muttered in his heart. The Great Ape Emperor's actions and words had caused Qin Yu to not have the slightest grudge against him. The second day, Qin Yu and Ho Fei were standing outside of the Imperial City's gate. They were preparing to depart for the Bird Clan's territory to find their brother Kuro. In order to find Kuro, they would naturally need Shizhan. This Shizhan was currently in the Jianglan's realm. This Shizhan's strength is too weak. It's better for me to let him stay in the Jianglan's realm. These were the words that Qin Yu explained to Ho Fei after Shizhan entered the Jianglan's realm. After Qin Yu and Ho Fei bid their farewells to the Great Ape Emperor, Ox Demon Emperor, Mangon, and the others, they began their journey. Outside of the Jade Cloud Star's conveying array, Big Brother, when we were in the mortal realm, that mixed-hair bird was always arrogant towards me. Right now his strength is definitely inferior to mine. This time, I must properly trample on him. Kaka. Ho Fei was extremely excited. Qin Yu chuckled. Fei, this matter is hard to say. Perhaps Xiao He had some sort of fortuitous encounter that was even stronger than yours? That's not very likely. Ho Fei rubbed his chin and pretended to be skeptical. Well then it's our turn, Qin Yu reminded. Soon after, Qin Yu and Ho Fei stepped into the interstellar conveying array. Following a burst of misty light, Qin Yu and Ho Fei disappeared. And at this moment, a golden immortal held a transmission spiritual pearl in his hand. Lord, Qin Yu and Ho Fei have left using the Jade Cloud Star's third conveying array. In the demon realm, there were many experts from the immortal realm and the devil realm. After all, because of the existence of the interstellar teleportation array, many people with the strength of golden immortals and above came to other realms. Times immortal Emperor Mu Yen was flying between the clouds. His destination was the current residence of Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor, a nameless island. With immortal Emperor Mu Yan's strength, he was naturally able to teleport over. However, immortal Emperor Mu Yen enjoyed the feeling of flying. Furthermore, while flying, he was able to think about how to report to Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Ever since the forces of Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor merged, this immortal Emperor Mu Yen possessed even more authority. Although there were 2 level 7 immortal emperors under the Mystic Emperor's command, their management ability was far inferior to immortal Emperor Mu Yan's. Therefore, immortal Emperor Mu Yen instead became the number 1 figure under Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. Last time, Qin Yu and the Ox Demon Emperor disappeared. I didn't manage to monitor where they went. Can you blame me for that? Immortal Emperor Mu Yen felt helpless. Since Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were planning to kill Qin Yu, they naturally would have thought of all sorts of methods to monitor Qin Yu. With the combined forces of their 2 forces, it was extremely easy for them to do this. Qin Yu and the Ox Demon Emperor went to the inherited prohibited area. Especially when they flew into the cosmic space, how could those people possibly monitor them? Because of this, Mu Yen was once blamed. His Majesty has changed. Immortal Emperor Mu Yen sighed. If it was His Majesty of the past, he would definitely not blame me for something like this. Yet now, he is directly blaming me. Sigh, His Majesty thinks too highly of that Qin Yu. At this moment, the nameless island had already appeared below them. Immortal Emperor Mu Yen turned into a ray of light and landed on the island. There were no servants or attendants on the island. Only Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were present. The only people who knew about this island were those few trusted subordinates. Mu Yan, you've come. Mystic Emperor Xian Shi lightly smiled to Mu Yan. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan immediately said respectfully, I pay my respects to Your Majesty Mystic Emperor. Your Majesty Mystic Emperor, this time, I have news regarding Qinyu to report. Qinyu? Xian Shi raised her beautiful eyebrows. Mu Yan, you said you have news regarding Qinyu. Emperor Yu, who appeared out of nowhere, stared at Mu Yan. Being stared at by Emperor Yu like this, Mu Yan naturally felt a pressure. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan immediately said, Your Majesty, last time, the Ox Demon Emperor and Qinyu left. However, later on, the Ox Demon Emperor and Qinyu returned to the Jade Cloud Star. At the same time, 2 other people also returned, the Great Ape Emperor and Ho Fei. It's them? Xian Shi said in astonishment. The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan and the future Great Ape Emperor Ho Fei were both people that the intelligence personnel paid great attention to. What did Qinyu do later on? Asked Emperor Yu coldly. Xian Shi took a glance at her husband and smiled bitterly. Right now, perhaps her husband only had the thought of killing Qinyu in his mind. This heart devil is indeed very strong. Xian Shi became even more determined to help her husband kill Qinyu. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan said respectfully, Your Majesties, Qinyu just left the Jade Cloud Star with Ho Fei today. Just the 2 of them. They set off. Emperor Yu frowned. Mystic Emperor also became puzzled. Suddenly, Emperor Yu narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed through his eyes. Hua Yan, who went to the mortal realm, told me that Qinyu has 2 brothers. One is Ho Fei and the other is Kuro. A cold smile appeared on Emperor Yu's face. If my guess is correct, that Qinyu used every possible means to rush to the demon realm in order to find his brothers. He and the Ox Demon Emperor set off to find Ho Fei. And now that they have found Ho Fei, they must have gone to find Kuro. That makes sense. Xian Shi nodded in agreement. Sure, the opportunity has come. Emperor Yu looked at Xian Shi. Xian Shi, however, frowned. She then waved her hand and said to Immortal Emperor Mu Yan, Mu Yan, you can return first. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan knew that there were some matters between the 2 majesties that were not suitable for him to hear. He immediately bowed and said, Your subordinate shall take his leave. After he finished saying that, Immortal Emperor Mu Yan turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. Xian Shi looked to Emperor Yu and said, Brother Feng Yu, I approve of you wanting to kill Qinyu, but that Ho Fei is a bit troublesome. What's so troublesome about that? He's merely a little monkey, said Emperor Yu with a cold smile. Xian Shi shook her head and said, His strength can be disregarded, but there's a person behind him. The Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan. Hearing the name Sun Yuan, Emperor Yu started to frown. Someone like Emperor Yu naturally knew that the 3 emperors of the demon realm were all extremely frightening. The Dragon Emperor and Peng Demon Emperor possessed inherited treasures. As for the Great Ape Emperor, he even had the inherited Forbidden Area. Currently, Emperor Yu had reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. However, Sun Yuan was a level 8 Demon Emperor Super Divine Beast. In terms of strength, there was not much difference between them. However, if Sun Yuan were to use stick techniques to fight, then Emperor Yu would be greatly inferior to him. Sun Yuan is indeed troublesome. Emperor Yu nodded. Soon after, he smiled and said, Let's just kill Qinyu directly and ignore that Ho Fei. Xian Shi said doubtfully, If we kill Qinyu, wouldn't that Ho Fei seek revenge? Revenge? By the time Ho Fei has the strength to seek revenge, we would have already passed the divine tribulation, said Emperor Yu with an indifferent smile. Could it be that you think that Sun Yuan would seek trouble for us just because we killed Qinyu? Furthermore, if the 2 of us were to join hands, compared to Sun Yuan, it's hard to say who's stronger and who's weaker. Xian Shi thought about it and then nodded. If they killed Ho Fei, then Sun Yuan might seek trouble for them. However, if they killed Qinyu, then Sun Yuan shouldn't. The Dragon Clan has a relationship with Qinyu. It's not suitable to intercept and kill Qinyu in the Dragon Clan's territory. Xian Shi muttered to herself. The Bird Clan and the Beast Clan don't get along well. We'll intercept and kill Qinyu at the border of the Bird Clan's territory. A cold light flashed through Emperor Yu's eyes. That's right. When they pass through the Dragon Clan's territory and arrive at the Bird Clan's territory, we'll kill Chinyu. Chapter 396. Below the Rainflower Tree, Xianxi was currently chatting with Emperor Yu. Brother Fengyu, you should still remember Qinyu's Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Xianxi's eyes flickered with vigilance. Last time, when the two of us joined forces, we couldn't damage the Qingyu Immortal Mansion at all. Hearing Xianxi mentioning the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Emperor Yu's eyelids twitched. Last time, the 28 Immortal Emperors had surrounded the Qingyu Immortal Mansion for 20 whole years. He had even joined forces with Xianxi to unleash their strongest attack, but they still couldn't do anything to the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. It was also because of this long delay that Qinyu had opened the third layer of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts and released the Blood Dragon Aowushu. In this battle, almost all of the elites under his command were lost, and his reputation hit rock bottom. This Qingyu Immortal Mansion is incomparably strange. At that time, although I was only a level 8 Immortal Emperor, I joined hands with you, and even used the matchless Great Sword to attack. Even an ordinary divine artifact would not be able to block it. This Qingyu Immortal Mansion, sometimes even I suspect that the green speck might be something else. Said Emperor Yu slowly. Something else? Xianxi asked doubtfully. Could it be that there's some kind of immortal estate that can withstand our combined attacks? Emperor Yu thought for a long time, shook his head, sighed and said, forget about it. I also can't figure it out. It's just that the defense of that Qingyu Immortal Mansion is truly too frightening. Even though I've reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, I think that even if we were to join hands, it would still be difficult to break through that Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Xianxi nodded. The shock that the green particles gave them that day was still very clear. If Qinyu hides in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, it will indeed be difficult for us to kill him, Xianxi said solemnly. Emperor Yu smiled indifferently. Therefore this time, to kill Qinyu, I have decided to kill him in one strike. Speaking till this point, Emperor Yu's gaze turned sharp. We can only use one attack. If the attack fails, then we will not have the opportunity to attack again. This attack must reach its maximum power. We must kill Qinyu. Hearing this, Xianxi smiled. If Qinyu was not hiding in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, she did not think that Qinyu would be able to survive. This time we will definitely succeed. Emperor Yu raised his head and looked at the snow-white rain flowers on the tree. On that nameless island, Emperor Yu and his wife were discussing how to deal with Qinyu. The two brothers, Qinyu and Hou Fei, quickly passed through the territory of the Beast Clan and entered the territory of the Dragon Clan. As soon as they came out of the interstellar transmission array, Hou Fei said to Qinyu, Big brother, we have been traveling for so long. Let's rest on this planet for a day. Qinyu nodded. It's been 6 days since we left Jade Cloud Star. It's time for us to rest. Normally, Qinyu and Hou Fei would come out from the interstellar transfer array, and then line up to take another interstellar transfer array. 6 days of constantly switching between interstellar teleportation arrays was indeed tiring. On this planet, Qinyu and Hou Fei ate and drank in a restaurant. Immediately after they checked in, the place where they stayed was one of the courtyards behind the restaurant. It could be considered to be peaceful. That night, the entire night of the planet was filled with endless stars. Qinyu and Hou Fei casually sat on 2 stone chairs, drinking and chatting. As the two of them chatted, Hou Fei suddenly became nervous. He stared at Qinyu and said, Big brother, according to what you said, now that you have reached the late stage of the black hole realm, wouldn't you have to create the next realm? Qinyu raised his head and looked at the stars in the sky. He had created the 7th and 8th realm of the stellar transformations. However, Qinyu did not have a clear goal in his heart as to what path to take after the black hole realm. That's right, I have to continue creating. Qinyu sighed and said. Hou Fei's expression changed. He looked at Qinyu solemnly and said, Big brother, what if I don't succeed in creating? That's hard to say. If I don't continue to cultivate, my power will forever remain at this level. But if I continue to cultivate, if the realm I create is wrong, then A scene appeared in Qin Yu's mind. Within the flower-paced world on the other side of the black hole passageway in his dantian, the energy within the space that belonged to him, which was 2 or 3 meters wide. His black hole passageway collapsed, and his soul was instantly destroyed. Although this was just a scene in his imagination, it was still possible for it to happen. Although Qin Yu did not say what would happen if his creation failed, Hou Fei was able to infer from the expression on Qin Yu's face. Big brother, if you don't have the confidence to create the next realm, don't even think about breaking through to the next realm. Hou Fei grabbed Qin Yu's hand, his bright eyes staring at Qin Yu. Big brother, answer me. Qin Yu was startled, and then he felt a surge of emotion. Suddenly Qin Yu laughed. All right, Fei. Don't worry. I won't be rash. If I don't have the confidence, I won't randomly create a new realm. In addition, the next realm has many branches. I have some ideas, but I haven't completely decided yet. In the process of creating a new technique, there wasn't just a single suitable path. There might be several paths, but if one of these paths was the best, the others might be worse. The black hole realm. What was the next realm? Qin Yu could choose several paths, but each of these paths was different. If he continued down each path, the realm that Qin Yu would reach in the future would be different as well. Of course, the path that Qin Yu chose could also lead to a dead end. Big brother, alas, can it be that you can't not train in that stellar transformations technique? Creating a new technique is too dangerous. It's safer to follow the path of those who came before you. Hou Fei was rather angry. With a crack sound, the wine flask in his hand was crushed. Qin Yu shook his head. Fei, you know about this technique of mine. It's not like the technique that you train in. You train in yuanying, and can change to other techniques. My technique is different. Without a suitable technique for me, I can only rely on myself. Qin Yu smiled indifferently. Enough, your big brother isn't an idiot. Come, let's drink. We still have to continue on our journey tomorrow. Hou Fei looked at Qin Yu. In the end, he could only nod his head. From Hou Fei's point of view, Qin Yu viewed life and death too lightly. He always acted as if he didn't care about life and death. Although he, his brother, was anxious, Qin Yu himself was not anxious in the slightest. The late stage of the black hole realm was already the best time to create the next realm. The core planet of the Dragon Clan, Green Crystal Star. The Green Crystal Star could be considered as a strange planet in the entire immortal, devil and demon realm. The size of this planet was not large. It was only a tenth of the size of an ordinary planet. However, 50% of the planet's interior was composed of green crystals. 30% was water and rivers. The remaining 20% was rocks, loess and so on. Looking at it from the universe, the entire planet was jade green in color. It was flickering with gorgeous radiance. Only the high-level divine beasts, super divine beasts, emperor-level experts, and their family members were allowed to live in the Green Crystal Star. The population of the entire Green Crystal Star was extremely small. They were all gathered in a small region of the Green Crystal Star like a village. The residence of the Dragon Emperor was very ordinary. It was a courtyard that looked like a courtyard house. Currently, there were only 2 people in the courtyard, Dragon Emperor Ao Feng and Prince Ao Wuming. Ao Wuming had already returned to the Dragon Clan for several days. Wuming, come, let's drink. The Dragon Emperor's face was filled with kindness. Ao Wuming nodded his head and raised his cup. This was the first time that the Dragon Emperor drank with him since he returned to the Green Crystal Star. Wuming, it's been several days since you returned. I haven't come to find you because I've been thinking. Exactly how should I tell you? The Dragon Emperor had a vexed and helpless expression on his face. Imperial Father, go ahead, I'm listening, said Wuming indifferently. The relationship between the Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming was very tense. The Dragon Emperor looked to Wuming, sighed and said, Wuming, I know that you've been angry with me the entire time. Well then, you've already married that Lianzhu. Even if I were to oppose it, it would be useless, no? Wuming raised his head and looked to the Dragon Emperor. I like Lianzhu. No one can separate me and Lianzhu, including my Imperial Father. Wuming's gaze contained stubbornness and uncompromising determination. The Dragon Emperor smiled bitterly. Well then, don't look at me with that sort of gaze. The reason why I've called you here today is to discuss with you the matter of my abdication. Abdication? A surprised expression appeared on Wuming's face. The Dragon Emperor nodded and said, Wuming, you ought to know that I've been stuck at level 8 Demon Emperor for a very long time now. Now that you've also reached level 7 Demon Emperor, it would seem that you're about to break through to level 8 Demon Emperor. Amen. Wuming nodded. Wuming knew that his imperial father had been stuck at level 8 Demon Emperor for a very long time. Of his two sons, one was a level 8 Demon Emperor, and the other was a level 7 Demon Emperor. As for his father, he was still a level 8 Demon Emperor. Just by thinking about it, one would know how long the Dragon Emperor had been stuck at level 8 Demon Emperor. My soul's realm had already reached level 9 Demon Emperor. However, for the sake of the Dragon Clan, I've been suppressing my power with the help of the inherited treasure the entire time, preventing myself from reaching level 9 Demon Emperor. At this moment, Wuming displayed a shocked expression. However, the Dragon Emperor continued. Now, both your and Wushu's strength has increased. Furthermore, there are also some elders of our clan assisting you. As long as you fuse with the inherited treasure, you'll be able to intimidate all the powers. Imperial Father. Wuming opened his mouth. The Dragon Emperor waved his hand and smiled. Listen to me first. Once I stop suppressing my power and reach level 9 Demon Emperor, it's hard to say when the divine tribulation will descend. It might be 1,000 years or 10,000 years, according to the rules of our Dragon Clan. Once I stop suppressing my power and reach level 9 Demon Emperor, and pass the divine tribulation with the help of the inherited treasure, you'll be the new Dragon Emperor. Wuming, you won't refuse that, right? Wuming took a deep breath. He looked at his imperial father and nodded his head. As a descendant of the Dragon Clan, he naturally had to consider the Dragon Clan. Very good. A trace of bitterness appeared on the Dragon Emperor's face. Wuming, I know that you and your big brother have always held grudges against me. You're fine. Your big brother's hatred for me is too strong. He even hates the entire Dragon Clan. Wuming, once I stop suppressing my power and reach level 9 Demon Emperor, then it's hard to say when I'll be able to ascend. Although you're a bit stubborn, at least you still recognize me as your imperial father. I also do not doubt your loyalty to the Dragon Clan. However, I've indeed let down your big brother. It could even be said that the entire Dragon Clan has let him down. The Dragon Emperor looked to Wuming. Wuming, I know that in the entire Dragon Clan, only you have a good relationship with your big brother. Can you give your imperial father a chance, so that I can go and meet with Wushu? Wuming didn't know how to respond. Wuming still remembered the blood-red eyes of his big brother when he angrily left the Dragon Clan. The resentment and hatred within those eyes were simply impossible to wash away. Forget about it, forget about it. The Dragon Emperor smiled. Wuming, there's no need for you to be troubled. Merely, you must also seize the time to train. After reaching level 9 Demon Emperor, it's very hard to say when the divine tribulation will come. In the future, the Dragon Clan's burden will be shouldered by you. I know. Wuming nodded. This time around, the relationship between the father and son was slightly better. Perhaps because Wuming knew that his imperial father was going to reach level 9 Demon Emperor and might ascend, he became slightly closer to him. The next day, Wuming was at his residence. Lian Zhu, as his wife, was also living at his residence. Wuming was currently chatting with Lian Zhu. Suddenly, Wuming sensed that someone had sent a message to his transmission spiritual pearl. He immediately took out his transmission spiritual pearl and scanned it with his demon awareness. Big brother Wuming, I've already entered the Dragon Clan's territory. Wuming immediately laughed. Haha, it's Qingyu. I'm currently in the Green Crystal Star. When are you coming over? Big brother Wuming, Fei and I are going to the Bird Clan's territory to find our third brother. The two of us have been worried about this matter the entire time. Thus, we won't be going there for the time being. When we find our third brother, we'll come and see you again. Qingyu continued to send a message. Big brother Wuming, I think, with your Dragon Clan's power, you'll definitely be able to find out where I am right now. If you want to see your big brother Wushu, you can come over. Big brother. Wuming was slightly stunned. Qin Yu continued to send a message. This is the map of the route Ho Fei, and I will be taking in the Dragon Clan's territory. If you really want to see your big brother, then come over. I've already mentioned this to Wushu. Wushu did not object to it. Okay, I'll definitely go. Wuming reacted and promptly said. He and his big brother Ao Wushu had not seen each other for many years. Qin Yu suddenly sent a message. Oh, that's right. Your big brother Ao Wushu said, to not let your father Senior Dragon Emperor come. Wuming was slightly startled. He recalled the contents of the conversation between him and the Dragon Emperor yesterday. Well then, big brother Wuming, Fei and I will continue our journey. Qin Yu then cut off the transmission. Wuming was unable to make up his mind. He sat on the chair with his brows deeply creased. He was pondering in his heart. Should I tell Imperial Father about this matter? Times in a desolate mountain region. Qin Yu and Ho Fei were here. There was a transmission secret array on the ground. To carry a transmission secret array with you, it's truly convenient. Qin Yu waved his hand and stored the transmission secret array into the Jianglan's realm. With the transmission secret array, he was able to contact others at any time. Fei, let's immediately proceed toward the Bird Clan's territory. For the time being, let's not rest. It would not be too late for us to rest after we reach the Bird Clan's territory. Qin Yu looked to Ho Fei. I know. After we reach the Bird Clan's territory, we will indeed need to rest. Furthermore, after we reach there, we must have that Shizhan confirm the location of the mixed hair bird. Ho Fei said with a smile. Immediately after, the two brothers set off again. They traveled day and night. The route they planned was to cross through the entire Dragon Clan's territory and arrive at the border planet of the Bird Clan's territory, the Yellow Bird Star. However, what Qin Yu and Ho Fei didn't know was that every time they used the interstellar conveying arrays, there would always be someone who would send out the information. Their journey was completely monitored by Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. Chapter 397. In the quiet courtyard, Ao Wuming was sitting beside the table. As for Lianzhu, she walked over with a cup of tea. Wuming, what are you distressed about? Lianzhu placed the tea in front of Ao Wuming. Ao Wuming took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. He looked to Lianzhu and said, Madam, do you think I should let Imperial Father go see Big Brother? Big Brother is not willing to see Imperial Father. Yet Imperial Father wants to see Big Brother. What should I do? You've been thinking about this for so long. Lianzhu smiled. What? Do you have a good idea? Ao Wuming had been distressed about this for 3 to 4 days. Lianzhu scolded with a smile. You're truly foolish. Why do you need to decide on this matter yourself? You should directly tell your Imperial Father about this matter, and then bring your Imperial Father to your Big Brother. Big Brother will give birth. Don't be anxious. Lianzhu interrupted him. When you go see Big Brother, don't let the Dragon Emperor appear first. Go see your Big Brother alone first, and ask him if he's willing to see the Dragon Emperor. Regardless of whether your Big Brother is willing or not, you should still tell your Imperial Father the result. If Big Brother is unwilling, then wouldn't Imperial Father have come here for nothing? Just as Ao Wuming said this, he started laughing. Ah, you clever brat. You're truly smart. Even if my Big Brother doesn't agree, once I tell Imperial Father about it, I reckon that Imperial Father will directly appear. At that time, wouldn't they still meet? At that time, Big Brother cannot blame me. Lianzhu giggled. After rubbing Lianzhu's nose, Ao Wuming immediately walked out of the courtyard excitedly. I'll go and inform Imperial Father. Times on a certain planet, near the Bird Clan's territory, Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor had already arrived. Currently, Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor had already changed their appearances. They were currently analyzing the information in a residence on this planet. An enormous interstellar map scroll was hung on the wall. This interstellar map only showed the Dragon Clan's territory. After all, even though the writing was very small and filled the entire wall, it was still only barely enough to show the Dragon Clan's territory. Brother Fengyu, Qin Yu and Hou Fei have already arrived here. She pointed to one of the Dragon Clan's planets. Emperor Yu looked at the map on the wall and nodded. They've already traveled half the distance. Right now, we still don't know which border planet they're heading to. There were 6 border planets between the Dragon Clan's territory and the Bird Clan's territory. These 6 border planets led to different planets. Although Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had decided to intercept and kill Qin Yu, and the others the moment they arrived at the Bird Clan's territory, they were still unable to ascertain which border planet Qin Yu had arrived at. Judging by the route they're taking, they're most likely going to one of these 2 border planets. As for which border planet, we can only continue to wait for news, she said with a frown. As Emperor Yu's and Mystic Emperor's subordinates sent back information, the route Qin Yu and Hou Fei took became clearer and clearer. Reporting to your majesties, Qin Yu and Hou Fei have arrived at Lotus Fish Star. An immortal emperor reported respectfully. Lotus Fish Star. Emperor Yu's and the Mystic Emperor's eyes shined. They turned around and looked at the enormous interstellar map. The Mystic Emperor pointed with one hand and said, Brother Fengyu, they've now set foot on Lotus Fish Star. Clearly, they're about to set foot on this border planet. In that case, they'll be entering the Bird Clan's territory, the Yellow Bird Star. The Mystic Emperor pointed at a planet at the border of the enormous interstellar map, the Yellow Bird Star. The entire interstellar map was the Dragon Clan's territory. At the very most, there were a few border planets at the border. When Qin Yu and Hou Fei stepped onto the Lotus Fish Star, they've already clearly told Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor their route. Yellow Bird Star. Emperor Yu looked at the Yellow Bird Star on the map. His eyes flickered. Good. Let's depart immediately and head to the Yellow Bird Star. We'll wait for Qin Yu and the others there. Good. Let's depart immediately. The Mystic Emperor was very straightforward. After the 2 of them finished speaking, they immediately used greater teleportation and arrived at another planet. They took the interstellar teleportation array and rushed toward the Yellow Bird Star. The Mystic Emperor and the others were originally very close to the Bird Clan's territory. In less than a day, they arrived at the Yellow Bird Star. The Yellow Bird Star. As an important transit planet for the Dragon Clan and the Bird Clan, the Yellow Bird Star was naturally incomparably flourishing. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had already arranged a lot of people on this planet. Now a lot of experts from other places have also started to gather on the Yellow Bird Star. In a certain outskirts of the Yellow Bird Star, it was desolate and uninhabited. However, in a certain mountain forest there was a quiet courtyard. This courtyard was the residence that the subordinates of Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had just built on the Yellow Bird Star. It was specially built to wait for Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor to come and live in. Ever since Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor decided to kill Qin Yu the moment he stepped into the Bird Clan's territory, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor gave the order to build residences on the 6 border planets, including the Yellow Bird Star, for Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor to live in. In the courtyard, Emperor Yu and she were quietly waiting for the news from their subordinates. Your Majesties, according to Qin Yu and Hou Fei's speed, if they don't stop to rest then, they will arrive at the Yellow Bird Star in 2 days. A level 9 golden immortal subordinate said respectfully. She nodded indifferently and said, Well then, you can withdraw now. That subordinate immediately bowed and withdrew. Brother Fengyu, Qin Yu and them will arrive in at least 2 days. In these 2 days we should rest for a bit. When they arrive, it won't be too late for us to attack. She looked to Emperor Yu. Brother Fengyu, you've been too nervous these days. Emperor Yu was slightly startled. Right, it should be because I think too highly of Qin Yu. Emperor Yu smiled indifferently. I don't have the heart to rest at this time. If you want to rest, then rest. Seeing Emperor Yu's current appearance, she couldn't help but say helplessly, Amen, I'll accompany you here. I hope that Qin Yu and Hou Fei will not stop to rest on their journey and arrive at the Yellow Bird Star sooner, said Emperor Yu in his heart. His gaze grew cold. Times can't Qin Yu and Hou Fei stop to rest? Sigh, said the Dragon Emperor helplessly. Ao Wuming, who stood to the side, also had nothing to say. Ever since Ao Wuming told the Dragon Emperor about what happened, the Dragon Emperor was so excited that he immediately wanted to go to Qin Yu and them. However, at this time, Qin Yu had already run very far away. The Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming could only slowly chase after him. Actually, the Dragon Emperor and them could also send a transmission to Qin Yu and them to wait for a bit. However, the Dragon Emperor also knew that Qin Yu was in a hurry to find his brothers. The Dragon Emperor did not want to waste his time. Thus, he could only exhaust himself and try his best to intercept Qin Yu from another direction. The location of the green crystal star was originally very far away from Qin Yu's route. Currently, the Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming were rushing toward the bird clan through another route. They would only be able to teleport to the yellow bird star 2 more times when they arrived at the border planet of the bird clan. Imperial Father, according to their speed, Qin Yu and them should be able to reach the yellow bird star in 2 days. If we speed up a bit, we should also be able to reach the yellow bird star in 2 days, said Ao Wuming as he calculated. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Their speed was faster than Qin Yu's. That's because the two of them did not need to line up. By taking out the Dragon Clan's Imperial family's title plate, they would be able to immediately step into another interstellar conveying array the moment they stepped out of the interstellar conveying array. Like this, their speed was clearly much faster than Qin Yu's. Time passed very slowly under the attention of all parties. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Ao Wuming have already arrived at the Lin Yu star. They are still 1 day away from the yellow bird star. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Ao Wuming are still half a day away from the yellow bird star. With all the information, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor did not dare to be distracted in the slightest. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Hou Fei have already arrived at the border planet of the Dragon Clan. After they finish lining up, they will need to go from that border planet to the border planet of the Bird Clan, the Yellow Bird Star. Hearing this information, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor both stood up. Qin Yu is coming. Emperor Yu's eyes shined. The Mystic Emperor also tightly held onto Emperor Yu's hand. Brother Feng Yu, don't be nervous. Under normal circumstances, this Qin Yu would definitely not be able to block our combined sword attack. Emperor Yu nodded. However, Emperor Yu still involuntarily clenched his fists. He still remembered that after he refined the entire reef yellow star, what he got in return was Qin Yu hiding inside the green speck and slaughtering all of his subordinates. Today, I will definitely kill you. Emperor Yu roared angrily in his heart. Times Hou Fei and Qin Yu were lining up. Big brother, there's really a lot of people on this border planet. There's actually over 100 people lining up. I reckon that it'll still be a while before it's our turn. Hou Fei said helplessly. Qin Yu also smiled. How could the amount of people on an ordinary planet catch up to a border planet like this? Over 100 people, after lining up for a while, they all arrived at the yellow bird star on the other side through the interstellar conveying array. Next, the man who was in charge of collecting elemental spirit stones said coldly. After collecting the elemental spirit stones from Qin Yu, this man let Qin Yu and Hou Fei enter the interstellar conveying array and directly activated it. The next planet belonged to the Bird Clan's territory. A burst of misty radiance flickered. When the radiance disappeared, Qin Yu and Hou Fei discovered that they had arrived at the Yellow Bird Star. Yellow Bird Star, we've arrived. A trace of joy appeared on Qin Yu's face. Big brother, we're tired after rushing for so long. According to the plan, let's rest on this planet. Hou Fei walked out from the interstellar conveying array and even stretched his body. Qin Yu smiled and said, "Don't be anxious. Let Shizhan determine Xiao Hei's location first, and then determine the interstellar path we should take next." Hou Fei also nodded. The safety of the Shizhan was extremely important. Only with this Shizhan would they be able to find Kuro more easily. This place is filled with crooks mixed in with honest folks. Let's go to a quiet place without anyone, and then have Shizhan come out. Qin Yu pulled Hou Fei. The two of them turned into rays of light and flew toward the east. And at this moment, an immortal took out his transmission spiritual pearl. Your lordship, Qin Yu and Hou Fei have already arrived. They did not continue their journey and instead stopped at the yellow bird star. After exiting the interstellar conveying array, they flew toward the east. Qin Yu and Hou Fei flew for several hundred miles before landing. There were no signs of human habitation here. There was only a desolate prairie. Qin Yu directly brought Shizhan out from the Jianglan's realm. Once Shizhan came out, he saw Qin Yu and Hou Fei, and immediately said respectfully, "Shizhan pays his respects to Lord Qin Yu and Lord Hou Fei." "Well then," Hou Fei directly said loudly, "immediately sense the approximate location of your master Kuro. We have already given you the map of the bird clan. Give us an approximate location." "Yes." Shizhan bowed and said. He then stood to the side and began to quietly sense Kuro's location. Qin Yu suddenly frowned. "Big brother, what's wrong?" Hou Fei asked in confusion. Qin Yu frowned and said, "Earlier, there was an immortal awareness that scanned the surroundings." Hou Fei smiled and said carelessly, "Oh, that's it? It's common for cultivators to use their immortal awareness and demon awareness to scan the surroundings when they have nothing to do. What's so good about that?" "No, that immortal awareness from earlier seemed to be of a very high level." Qin Yu frowned deeply. "Merely, that immortal awareness disappeared after scanning the surroundings. I did not have the time to carefully inspect it. However, it was at least a level 6 immortal emperor. Qin Yu's location has been ascertained." Xianxi nodded to Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu's eyes emitted a scorching radiance. "Finally, the time has come. Prepare to join hands immediately. My power is a bit higher than yours. I will be in charge of the attack immediately. Do you understand?" Xianxi nodded. Immediately after, the two of them glanced at each other. Very tacitly, they floated in the air at the same time. Soon after, the two of them simultaneously formed hand seals. The hand seals they formed were exactly the same. At the same time, they were also letting out strange syllables from their mouths. Two divine swords floated beside the two of them. They were the Great Emperor's sword and the Flowing Great Sword. One was golden in color, and the other was jade green in color. Suddenly, Xianxi and Emperor Yu's figures began to change alternately. As if they were teleporting, the two of them unceasingly changed their figures. The Great Emperor's sword and the Flowing Great Sword let out a buzzing sound and began to touch and fuse with each other. Radiance flickered and sword aura suddenly broke through the sky. The Great Emperor's sword and the Flowing Great Sword fused into a high-quality divine sword, unparalleled great sword. Emperor Yu and Xianxi glanced at each other. The two of them once again teleported. This time, the hand seals Emperor Yu and Xianxi made were completely different. Emperor Yu's fingers were emitting rays of golden light. With a single hand, he pointed at the unparalleled great sword. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Emperor Yu's eyes. Whoosh! Emperor Yu's immortal awareness suddenly covered the entire yellow bird star. Qin Yu, who was waiting for Shizhan's answer, was immediately found. And Qin Yu, who was covered by Emperor Yu's immortal awareness, also had a change in expression. Something's wrong. Qin Yu immediately became alert. Qin Yu immediately wanted to spread out his immortal awareness. However, right at the moment when that immortal awareness covered Qin Yu felt that the entire yellow bird star's heaven and earth started to tremble. An astonishing brilliance broke through the sky and attacked toward him. Even a slight spatial crack appeared in the space. Fast, too fast. Just as Qin Yu's immortal awareness spread out, that divine sword had already arrived. PFFF. Its speed was faster than any attack Qin Yu had ever encountered. It was at least 10 times faster than the green-blooded sword immortal's attack. Qin Yu did not even have the ability to react or dodge. Qin Yu only felt his body tremble. A frightening force caused Qin Yu's body to be pierced and sent flying backwards. That force was brought about by the divine armor. The black frozen snow battle armor merely paused for a moment and blocked the divine sword for less than an instant. That divine sword pierced through the divine armor, as if it was piercing through gauze. Qin Yu's body was pierced through like tofu. That divine sword directly pierced through Qin Yu's dantian and his abdomen. Blood burst forth. Qin Yu died. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor immediately teleported in front of Qin Yu. When Ho Fei saw this lightning-fast scene, especially when he saw that divine sword pierce through the divine armor and pierce through Qin Yu's vital dantian, Ho Fei was completely stunned. Big brother! Ho Fei's eyes were very red. He shouted himself hoarse. Ho Fei's body flickered with radiance. A several hundred zhang tall enormous ape illusion appeared behind Ho Fei. A layer of silver fur appeared on Ho Fei's body. His eyes were golden, and his lips were purple. Ah! A beast roar that originated from his soul sounded. Ho Fei's golden eyes immediately turned very red. The corners of his eyes were about to burst. Hand over your life. Following the roar, the black stick in his hand shook. Countless stick images appeared like endless waves. In an instant, they covered Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Chapter 398. At this moment, Qin Yu was kneeling on the ground. His hands were also on the ground. Blood was still spurting out from his mouth. PFFF. Blood was still flowing out from Qin Yu's mouth. Under the attack of the matchless great sword, cracks appeared in the space. Qin Yu's divine armor, black frozen snow, was directly pierced and destroyed. When the matchless great sword pierced into Qin Yu's dantian, there were still a lot of frightening sword aura that shot out in all directions from the matchless great sword. If the thing in Qin Yu's dantian was Yuanying, then he would definitely die. After all, Yuanying's defense was too weak. The space in the dantian could be said to be big and boundless. It could also be said to be small. In reality, it was just a part of the body. The black hole in Qin Yu's dantian was attacked by the two-sword aura. Qin Yu's black hole directly engulfed the two-sword aura. The large amount of sword aura that exploded in Qin Yu's body was added by Emperor Yu to guarantee that he would definitely kill Qin Yu. With so much sword aura, the attack power was actually not that strong. To Yuanying, it might be disastrous. However, to Qin Yu's dantian black hole, it didn't have much of an effect. Merely, when the matchless great sword pierced into Qin Yu's dantian, it caused Qin Yu's dantian black hole to tremble slightly. Fortunately, the matchless great sword did not pierce into the dantian black hole. Otherwise, the black hole would most likely collapse. The life elemental energy was rapidly healing the injuries in Qin Yu's body. If the thing in my dantian was Yuanying, then I would have really died this time. Qin Yu, who was lying on the ground, raised his head and looked forward with red eyes. At this moment, Ho Fei was attacking Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor like a madman. Times like a madman, Ho Fei unleashed his strongest battle power. The heaven-startling 36 stick strikes had been activated to the extreme. Countless stick shadows were frantically attacking Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Big brother Feng Yu, this Ho Fei is blocking our way like a madman. What should we do? Xianxi sent a voice transmission. Emperor Yu also started to frown as he blocked Ho Fei's attack. Even though Ho Fei had performed exceptionally, no matter if it was in terms of power, technique, or comprehension of the heaven and earth, he was still far inferior to Emperor Yu. Don't worry about him. Qin Yu doesn't seem to be breathing right now. A trace of joy appeared on Emperor Yu's face. The might of that sword strike from earlier, even I myself would not be able to block it. He will undoubtedly die. Emperor Yu didn't know that at this moment, Qin Yu had merely concealed his aura. It seems that he is no longer breathing. However, the injuries on his body are healing at an extremely fast speed. How strange. Xianxi noticed that Qin Yu's injuries were healing. Oh! Emperor Yu was surprised. Could it be that this Qin Yu didn't die? Emperor Yu was truly unable to believe it. When the two of them joined hands, their strength surpassed that of level 9 immortal emperors. Furthermore, they possessed the high-quality divine sword, matchless great sword. Their attack power was even capable of ripping apart space. With that kind of power, how could they still not be able to kill Qin Yu? He had clearly seen with his immortal awareness that the divine sword had pierced through Qin Yu's abdomen. Ho Fei appeared as if he had gone mad. Fei, I'm not dead. A voice sounded in Ho Fei's mind. It caused Ho Fei to suddenly wake up. Quickly leave the two of them. I'll take you into the Jianglan's realm. Quickly. Ho Fei understood the current situation. Immediately, he began to rapidly retreat. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor did not want to kill Hou Fei to begin with. Now that they saw that Hou Fei was retreating, they naturally would not chase after him. Brother Qin Yu, he's still alive. I sense Qin Yu's aura. Xianxi's expression suddenly changed. Earlier, when Qin Yu sent a voice transmission to Hou Fei, he had naturally spread out his soul's aura. After that, he immediately restrained it. Unexpectedly, it was still discovered by Xianxi. With an intention from Qin Yu, Hou Fei and Shizhan, who was hiding far away, were taken into the Jianglan's realm. After ensuring the safety of Hou Fei and Shizhan, Qin Yu had completely let go of the worries in his heart. Now, Qin Yu was completely capable of directly entering the Jianglan's realm. Emperor Yu, I truly did not expect that. After the battle on the reef Yellow Star, you actually still dared to be so excessive. You even chased after me relentlessly to kill me. Qin Yu looked at Emperor Yu. Within his eyes were traces of anger. Earlier, the divine armor Black Frozen Snow had already been destroyed. The divine armor Black Frozen Snow's defense was very strong. However, once it was pierced through, it would truly be destroyed. Only those people who were able to refine divine armaments would be able to repair it. As for the immortal devil and demon realm, it was likely that no mysterious person would be able to repair it. How is this possible? Emperor Yu saw that Qin Yu actually stood up and spoke to him. It was as if he had been struck by lightning and turned into an idiot. His face was filled with disbelief. Qin Yu, you actually didn't die. You actually didn't die. Absolutely impossible. Emperor Yu's eyes were emitting cold light. His entire body was surging with energy. Beside him, Xianxi's face was also filled with shock. She was also shocked that Qin Yu didn't die. Qin Yu looked at Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu, listen carefully. In the mortal realm, that Hua Yin used my family as a threat. On the Amber Moon Star, you also sent people to kill me. On the Blue Snow Star, you also chased after me. On the Reef Yellow Star, you didn't even hesitate to refine an entire planet to kill me. This time you did it again. You wanted to kill me again and again. Not once did I take the initiative. It was always you who chased after me to kill me. Qin Yu's anger soared to the heavens. He angrily pointed at Emperor Yu with one hand. Emperor Yu, what do you think I, Qin Yu, am? I originally didn't want to form a death grudge with you. However, you relentlessly chased after me, vainly trying to kill me and steal my treasures. Even a clay figurine would have some temper. Good. You forced me to do this. I, Qin Yu, hereby swear that there will be a day when I will kill you. I, Qin Yu, and you, Emperor Yu, will not rest until one of us is dead. Qin Yu angrily pointed at Emperor Yu. That angry voice resounded in the heavens and earth. I, Qin Yu, and you, Emperor Yu, will not rest until one of us is dead. The voice continuously reverberated and spread. Won't rest until one of us is dead? Then you must die. Emperor Yu's figure transformed into lightning. Stop. Suddenly 2 angry shouts sounded. The energy contained in those angry shouts caused Emperor Yu's expression to change. These 2 people were both wearing golden gowns. One of them was a golden-haired young man, and the other was a white-haired old man. Dragon Emperor. Emperor Yu's expression greatly changed. The Mystic Emperor's expression also changed. The Dragon Emperor took a glance at the pierced divine armor on Qin Yu's body and the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth. He turned around and looked at Emperor Yu. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. Feng Yu, for you to chase after Qin Yu so relentlessly, isn't it too excessive? Emperor Yu sneered and said. Dragon Emperor, could it be that you didn't hear what Qin Yu said earlier? He said that he will not rest until one of us is dead. Qin Yu, are you alright? Ao Wuming arrived beside Qin Yu. It's just that the divine armor was destroyed. Qin Yu took off the damaged divine armor on his body and immediately stored it into the blazing profound ring. He then condensed a set of gowns with the power of the black hole. Haha! The Dragon Emperor laughed out of extreme anger. Feng Yu, I never thought that you would actually be this shameless. I also heard what Qin Yu said earlier. You chased after Qin Yu time and time again. It seemed that you were the one who took the initiative to attack. Good. You destroyed Qin Yu's divine armor. I will also make you pay the price. The aura on the Dragon Emperor's body began to surge. The Dragon Emperor was about to attack. Seeing this scene, Ao Wuming instead displayed a joyous expression. He said to Qin Yu, my imperial father is about to attack. Rest assured, with my imperial father attacking, Emperor Yu will definitely not be a match for him. Qin Yu slightly nodded. He knew that the 3 emperors of the Dragon clan were all powerful. This Dragon Emperor possessed an inherited treasure. According to what the Ox Demon Emperor and them said, this inherited treasure was even stronger than divine artifacts. Qin Yu and Ao Wuming were very happy. However, when Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor heard that the Dragon Emperor was about to attack, their expressions changed. Dragon Emperor, are you really going to attack us for this, Qin Yu? Said Mystic Emperor Xianxi coldly. Although Xianxi was a woman, she had been on the Emperor's throne for a long time. Thus she also possessed her own dignity. Emperor Yu also stared at the Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Emperor smiled indifferently and said, how many years has it been since I last attacked? It seems that not many people know of the Dragon Emperor's strength. Did you all really think that you would be able to fight against me with merely that matchless great sword? What a joke! Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor waited for the Dragon Emperor to attack. Boom! A dazzling golden light suddenly blossomed from the Dragon Emperor's body. It soared into the sky and shook the heaven and earth. The Dragon Emperor, who was bathed in the golden light, was like a god of war. To deal with you all, I only need a single punch, said the Dragon Emperor indifferently. However, his voice contained absolute arrogance. A golden liquid visible to the naked eye emerged from the Dragon Emperor's body. Soon after, it covered the Dragon Emperor's entire body and formed a set of battle armor that covered his entire body, including his fists. Be careful, said Emperor Yu to his wife via voice transmission. Times Qin Yu and Ao Wuming watched attentively. Big brother Wuming, is the Dragon Emperor truly confident? Qin Yu asked via voice transmission. Ao Wuming said confidently, rest assured, although Emperor Yu has reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, his strength is the same as my imperial father's. Furthermore, my imperial father possesses the Dragon clan's inherited treasure. To deal with them is simply a piece of cake. Seeing that Ao Wuming was this confident, Qin Yu relaxed and carefully watched the battle. The Dragon Emperor, who was bathed in the golden light, lightly laughed. Be careful. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had also condensed their power to the extreme. The 2 divine swords before them were also trembling. They were prepared to attack at any moment. Suddenly, with a flash of golden lightning, the Dragon Emperor arrived before Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor attacked at almost the same time. As for the Dragon Emperor, his right fist also smashed forward. One could only hear, "Kacha," a single punch. That fist covered in golden light smashed onto the divine armor on Xianxi's body. Cracks appeared on the divine armor, and Xianxi's complexion instantly turned deathly pale. Sheer. Emperor Yu's expression took a huge change. He immediately held onto Xianxi in fear and flew backwards. Sheer, are you alright? Emperor Yu said to Xianxi from several hundred meters away in fear. At this moment, Xianxi's complexion was incomparably pale. She looked at Emperor Yu and tried her best to squeeze out a smile. I'm fine. That Dragon Emperor didn't want to kill me. Merely, I didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor would be able to break my divine armor this easily. The defensive power of the divine armor worn by an 8th grade immortal sovereign was extremely strong. However, under the Dragon Emperor's fist, it was still destroyed by the cracks. Only at this moment did Emperor Yu manage to react. With an intention, he retrieved the Great Emperor's sword. At the same time, he also retrieved the flowing great sword with his immortal elemental energy. During this process, the Dragon Emperor did not stop them at all. Feng Yu listened carefully. The Dragon Emperor was as straight as a spear. He looked at Emperor Yu, who was half kneeling and hugging his wife. Today, you destroyed Qin Yu's divine armor and seriously injured him. Now, I will destroy one of your divine armor and seriously injure the Mystic Emperor as repayment. Emperor Yu tightly clenched his teeth. However, he didn't say anything. No matter what, the gap between him and the Dragon Emperor was too big. Since his strength was inferior, He could only grit his teeth and swallow his pride. Emperor Yu coldly humphed. Immediately after, he fiercely glared at Qin Yu. Then, he hugged his wife, and turned into a ray of light and disappeared. As a level 8 immortal emperor, Xianxi's injuries recovered very quickly. Brother Feng Yu, don't mind it too much, Xianxi said to Emperor Yu. Seeing Emperor Yu's current expression, Xianxi was still very worried. Emperor Yu was very arrogant. The blow he received this time was truly too great. Everything was prepared so perfectly. Even the final attack was so perfect. However, in the end they still failed. Furthermore, the Dragon Emperor even appeared. Emperor Yu shook his head. According to what that Qin Yu said, the few times I tried to deal with him, those few times, the first time resulted in the death of Hua Yan. The second time resulted in the death of a large number of golden immortals on the Amber Moon Star. The third time, on the Blue Snow Star, I strenuously monitored him for a long time, but was unable to find any trace of him. The fourth time, on the Reef Yellow Star, he even sent Ao Wushu to kill 26 immortal emperors. Do you think I can endure this? Emperor Yu gasped for breath. A cold light flickered in his eyes. He humiliated me time and time again. Furthermore, this time he even swore that he would not rest until he was dead. At this point, how can I still shrink back? He humiliated me time and time again. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to rest in peace. Seeing her husband's appearance, Xianxi knew that Emperor Yu's heart devil was very strong. Dragon Emperor, that old fellow. When Emperor Yu thought of the Dragon Emperor, his heart was filled with anger and powerlessness. Earlier when he was fighting with the Dragon Emperor, his great emperor's sword had actually pierced into the opponent's body. Unfortunately, when the great emperor's sword pierced into the opponent's golden battle armor, it was simply unable to leave a trace of damage. Disparity. Even though he had reached level 9 immortal emperor, the disparity between him and the Dragon Emperor was still that big. Times so strong. Qin Yu looked at the Dragon Emperor, who was bathed in golden light. These were the only two words in his mind. That punch earlier appeared to be very ordinary. However, Qin Yu discovered that in the process of the punch, traces of black cracks appeared in the space surrounding the punch. The punch was as heavy as a mountain. The strength of the punch was self-evident. Even the divine armor of a level 8 immortal emperor shattered with a single punch. The golden armor on the Dragon Emperor's body instantly turned into a golden liquid. Soon after, the liquid flowed into the Dragon Emperor's body and disappeared. The golden light surrounding the Dragon Emperor also disappeared. Qin Yu, are you alright now? The Dragon Emperor walked over with a smile on his face and said to Qin Yu cordially, I'm fine. Thank you for your help, uncle. Qin Yu said gratefully. It's a small matter. That guy Emperor Yu always thinks that he's amazing. He thinks that he can attack others time and time again. This time, I merely taught him a lesson. The Dragon Emperor suddenly asked Qin Yu. Oh, that's right. He destroyed one of your divine armor. I only destroyed one of theirs. Am I being too lenient on them? That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.